Well, it's a brand new day, and here we are doing what we do best, serving you the AM show. My name is Benjamin Akakwa. I always do this together with
Sweetie Abochin. It's our pleasure to usher you into a brand new week, a brand new month, and the best breakfast show on the block. Happy February, Benjamin. It's a month of love.
Indeed, it is.
Love is in the air.
Love is in the air.
I got you, didn't I?
You.
But folks, let's tell you what we have planned for you for this Monday morning. We'll start by serving you the AM news, the latest updates on all the stories in and around the country. And then after that, we'll sit with our guests to review the newspapers. Kofi Tonto is a political aide to former Vice President Dr. Mamudu Bawumia. And David Bondi is Member of Parliament for Trifuetia Mokwa. They're joining us to review the newspapers. And you know, right after that, Muftan Abel Abdullahi will serve you AM Sports. Then our big stories.
And when we get into the big stories, you know how it is. The drama in Parliament is still unfolding. Former Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu has questioned the legality of the suspension of 4 members of Parliament, arguing there is no such provision in the standing orders bequeathed to the Speaker to grant him any powers of suspending members for 2 weeks. So, has the Speaker acted beyond his bounds, ultra vires, so to speak? Has he done more than he ought to do, or bitten more than he can chew? Well, we'll be looking at the remedies to cure such an illegality. If it so exists, we'll be contemplating those issues right here. But, sweetie, there's a crucial matter happening in one of our schools, and this wouldn't be the first act of bullying. Tell us about it.
Well, we've seen that some student from Accra Academy, we've seen some viral video where there's a machete bullying in that, video circulating around social media. We'll bring you that, and then we'll discuss what this means, raising more concerns about discipline in our senior high schools. We'll tell you more about that. But also, the Minister-designate for Communication, Sam George, has hinted of another round of SIM card registration, which he says is more technologically efficient and robust than the former. Do we really need this again? We hear from the tech experts on this initiative and whether or not it is an initiative that we should welcome with open arms. Folks, welcome to the AM show.
Another round of SIM card re-registration? Well, we'll find out. But for now, you want to stick and stay with us for the news. Sweetie Abachi will be serving you next.
Welcome to the AM News segment on the AM show. Let's start from the President, John Dramani Mahama, who's taking a significant step towards fulfilling his promise to reform Ghana's education sector by appointing an 8-member committee to organize a national education forum. The committee, chaired by former Pro-Vice Chancellor for the University of Cape Coast, Professor George K.T. Odro, has been given 2 weeks to submit a comprehensive plan for the forum. Its members include Professor Goski Alabi, Professor Rosemary Bosu, Dr. Samuel Awuku, Professor Smile Gisi, Kofi Asare, and Stephen Owusu, and Inusa Shiraz. Now, here's a news desk report by Maxwell Agbagba.
The terms of reference for the committee is to 1. Develop a theme and sub-themes to guide the stakeholder engagement. It has to identify key stakeholders in the education sector, including students, parents, teachers, civil society organizations, development partners, religious bodies, political parties, Ghanaian educational researchers in the diaspora, chiefs, and many others to be invited as participants. Furthermore, develop a stakeholder activity agenda with time allocations, propose a venue and dates for the forum, set up a secretariat to document activities, provide a budget for the National Education Forum, and develop a comprehensive report detailing the findings and recommendations of the forum. The committee is also expected to draft a national education policy framework and propose an action plan for implementing recommendations within 3 weeks after the forum, and also consider any other issue relevant to the organization of the conference. President Mahama, on the campaign trail in the run-up to the elections, promised to reform Ghana's education sector. He gave a hint of the scope sometime in January at the National Convention of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission Ghana at Winneba in the Central Region.
Still on the President, John Dramani Mahama has expressed concern over the growing frustration among Africa's youth due to limited opportunities to achieve their dreams. He urged African leaders to accelerate economic growth, create employment, and combat corruption, which continues to deprive nations of resources and hinder development. Speaking at the 2025 African Prosperity Dialogues at the Accra International Conference Center, he called on leaders across the continent to work towards building a strong, resilient, self-reliant, and globally competitive Africa.
Prosperity cannot be achieved without good governance, transparency, and accountability. Investors and businesses thrive where there is stability, predictable policies, and the rule of law. Our youth are getting tired and frustrated at the lack of opportunity for realizing their dreams and aspirations. Our decision to embrace democratic governance was supposed to be accompanied by a dividend that will lead to improvement in the lives of our people and prosperity for all. Unfortunately, progress in this regard has been sluggish and largely intangible. If we are to maintain the faith and trust of our citizens in democratic and constitutional governance, we must accelerate our rates of economic growth, expand investment, and provide employment opportunities for our young people. As leaders, therefore, we must reaffirm our commitment to strengthening democratic institutions and ensuring free, fair, and transparent elections. We must fight corruption, which robs our nations of resources needed for development. And we must promote peace and security, as economic growth is impossible in times of conflict. It is therefore a call to action, this African Prosperity Dialogue, that Africa's time is now.
Mr. President John Dramani Mahama also urged African governments to collaborate with the private sector and invest in vocational and technical education to equip the youth with the skills needed for the future. He also urged African countries to process and add value to their natural resources to boost global trade and create sustainable jobs for the youth.
We must move beyond being exporters of raw material to become producers of finished goods. Whether it is cocoa in Ghana, oil in Nigeria, copper in Zambia, or diamonds in Botswana, we must process and add value to our natural resources. By so doing, we will not only increase our share of global trade, but also create sustainable jobs for our people, especially our young people. We must indigenize ownership of our natural resources. There's capital and technology available to us today to increase our participation in the exploitation of our natural resources. Our governments must therefore work hand in hand with the private sector to drive industrialization through special economic zones that encourage manufacturing and innovation, access to finance for small and medium-sized enterprises, which are the backbone of our economies, investments in technical and vocational education to equip our youth with the skills needed for industries of the future. The fourth industrial revolution presents a golden opportunity for Africa to leapfrog traditional development models. We don't need to go back to inventing the wheel. Digital transformation can drive financial inclusion. It can improve public service delivery and create new opportunities for all our people. We must therefore expand internet access and digital infrastructure to bridge the digital divide. We must encourage fintech and e-commerce to facilitate trade and economic participation. We must invest in research and development to support our homegrown innovations. Technology indeed has the power to make Africa more competitive.
In other stories, the newly outdoored patron of EduSport, Professor L.C. Ifa Kaufman, has admonished education stakeholders to discontinue theorizing education. Speaking to Joy News at the 10-year anniversary launch of EduSports in Elmina, Professor Kaufman stated that education should be made fun to serve as a catalyst for societal change.
The launch of the 10-year anniversary of EduSports, the new patron of the network, Professor L.C. Ifa Kaufman, explained her role as a champion of the network's goals while lauding its accomplishments.
As a patron, I am the ambassador, I'm the champion of EduSports. So what I intend to do is to showcase what EduSports has been doing over the 10 years, and then even moving into the future, what the amazing people that form this EduSports community have been doing. They have this amazing catalyst. These are young people, many of them volunteering their time and their knowledge and their resources to make an impact in society. When you go to a sport, they are not thinking about themselves alone. They are thinking about how they can use their skills, their knowledge, to make a difference in that community, right? They get a lot of training, leadership training, to be able to help them to do this activity. It's amazing what they are accomplishing. The whole point is that education should not be something theoretical, something that only shows up as a certificate, but rather something that can be used as a force for making change in the communities. So they make education fun and exciting.
The CEO and founder of EduSports, Kat Davidson, highlighted the significance of the network and expressed interest in government collaborations.
And in terms of the government support, we would very much want to send a message to the government to say that we really want to work alongside you in this project. The elements of our work, such as our Keeping Spots Safe badge to improve systems and understanding of safeguarding, is something where we need to work hand in hand with the government, particularly as many of the spots are in government schools. And we'd love to share knowledge in terms of how this very community-driven approach to education that has community engagement at its heart could also possibly have some learnings for the wider work that they're doing in Ghana. So I know the team are very keen to work hand in hand with government. As the next step in our 10-year journey, we'd love them to come on board with our work further.
A peer mentor, Gifty Abudu, also shed light on the impact of EduSports on education in rural communities.
I've been an EduSports catalyst for the past 4 years, and joining this network has been a wonderful journey. I come from Akumadan Sports, and Akumadan is one of the towns known for farming, so education has been a bit of a problem for us there. Joining EduSports has helped in bringing so much impact to the learners in Akumadan Sports.
The EduSports network, which has been in existence since 2015, is meant to connect, train and equip community teams to ignite locally driven change through education. Reporting for Joy News, Abigail Nkrumah-Isel, Elmina.
The effects of climate change are worsening poverty and unemployment in Ghana, forcing many young people to migrate from rural areas to cities in search of opportunities that often don't exist. ActionAid Ghana Country Director John Nkwao has highlighted the urgent need for interventions. He made these remarks during the launch of the Strengthen Community Resilience Against Climate Change project in WA. And our Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
ActionAid Ghana, in partnership with GIZ, introduced the over £1 million Overreach project to support climate interventions in 110 communities across the Upper West and Savannah regions. Launched at WA, the initiative focused on improving access to water resources and irrigation infrastructure, as well as improving afforestation and soil health in targeted communities. Using reports from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and the World Meteorological Agency on the rise of global temperatures, ActionAid Ghana Country Director John Nkwao lamented of the disproportionate changes that affect women, youth, and children, leading to food insecurity, increased poverty, and hindering overall development.
A World Meteorological Organization report indicates that 66% chance that from 2023 to 2027, at least 1 year will see average global temperatures exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius, above pre-industrial levels. They also threaten our progress towards the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Drought, heat, and floods in current times have affected food sovereignty and increasing poverty in Ghana, and more especially and specifically also affecting the Upper West region and the Savannah regions. Ghana is not immune to these challenges. Notable events include annual spillage of the Bagre Dam in Burkina Faso and the Weja Dam in recent times in the Greater Accra region, both causing significant destruction to communities along the river banks. The spillage displaced over 35,000 people across 3 regions, destroying livelihoods and homes. Furthermore, the severe drought during the 2024 cropping season, the worst since the 1982-83, has heavily impacted food security in agricultural heartlands, particularly across the northern Ghana.
John Enkau enumerated plethora of climate change intervention programs that Action Aid Ghana and its partners initiated in the past to confront the growing climate-induced challenges, which has helped to improve climate resilience strategies for smallholder farmers.
Overarching context demonstrates the widening poverty gap, gender inequality, and increasing injustices around the world, and particularly the Upper West and the Savannah regions, which require a comprehensive set of actions, strategies, priorities in the communities that we work in, particularly facing the youth, women, and girls.
Project manager for the REACH project, Matthias Betold, threw further light on the project.
The REACH project is not working alone. It's actually part of a larger program, the EU-Ghana Agricultural Program, which is, by the way, the largest program of the EU in Ghana. And aside from the REACH project, there is also the market-oriented agriculture program. Maybe you know it, it's also implemented by GIZ, and the agricultural water management program, which there will be also some similarities with this one here. So all in all, it's really looking at achieving an impact, bringing solutions for economic development based on agriculture, leveraging the potential of irrigation and agricultural development.
Chief Director.
Moving on, artisans in the Suame industrial enclave in Kumasi are counting their losses after a devastating fire swept through over 30 shops Friday night. Several properties, including vehicles, spare parts, and auto mechanic equipment worth millions of Ghana cedis, have been ravaged by the inferno. A known fire station in Ashanti region's largest auto mechanic enclave was relocated to a further destination, which the artisans argue fails to respond to timely to fire emergencies. Emmanuel Bright Kweku was at the fire scene, where victims and witnesses described the incident as unprecedented. Here's more.
Tears drop as artisans at Garage 18 zone in the Suame industrial enclave in Kumasi salvage and discard debris from Friday night's inferno. Properties including service tipper trucks, saloon cars, minibuses, spare parts, and other automobile accessories were raised by the blazing inferno. Peter Esiedo has worked as an artisan in the enclave for nearly 3 decades. He couldn't salvage any of his equipment, including restocked items. I had bought new items to sell later, but all have been burnt now. I don't know what exactly I'll be coming here to do, since my shop has been burnt. The fire is reported to have started about 10 p.m. on Friday from one of the shops in the area.
So it's been several hours since this fire engulfed properties here, and plumes of smoke continue to be in the atmosphere in this particular place. Although it's unknown the cause of the fire, we understand that it started somewhere in this particular shop that has been razed down and debris left over. It swept through the entire vicinity, destroying properties worth millions of cedis.
Fire tenders reportedly rushed to the scene to extinguish the blazing fire as residents nearby sought refuge. The fire tender from Mampontein came first. The fire hadn't even gutted 5 cars, but they couldn't douse the fire.
Fire service
I couldn't take anything except my children. Everything is burnt. The Suame Industrial Enclave is the region's largest auto mechanic and trading center. The garage, located on the fringes of the industrial enclave, is home to many highly combustible items. A fire station previously situated in the vicinity has been relocated to a further destination. How can we be in Suame and have a fire tender all the way from Ejuso to come douse fire? We used to have a fire station, but it's no longer here. The leaders must ensure to establish one here. No casualties were recorded, but the artisans eagerly anticipate financial support to re-establish their livelihoods, as most of them are without insurance.
Reporting from here at the Suame Industrial Enclave in Kumasi, my name is Emmanuel. Bright Quick.
The Multimedia Group Limited is 30 years old, and the Kumasi unit of the Multimedia Group, Love FM and Ishira FM, commemorated the day with praises and thanksgiving. The event, which has become a cornerstone of the company's culture, serves as an opportunity to express gratitude to God for the past year and to look forward with renewed hope, especially as 2025 marks 30 years since the establishment of the business. Emanuela Irabuna Akwa joined the staff to worship at the forecourts of Love and Ishira FM and now tells us more.
The Thanksgiving service saw elated staff from all departments joining spirits in raising their voices in praise and worship with soul-uplifting songs. Head pastor of Miracle Manor Church, Pastor Joy Obed Obing, who led the service, spoke of the power of moving out of one's comfort zone and persevering to make a difference in society. He encouraged the congregation to make God their portion in 2025 and beyond.
God has been our portion as an organization, and He will continue to be our ultimate satisfaction, our sustainer, our provider, and our cup of blessing. As we continue to trust Him to bring us peace and stability, increase and profitability amidst the world of uncertainty, I believe with all my heart that this year is going to be a better year than last year.
Speaking on behalf of the multimedia management team, news editor Kofi Edu Domfe expressed great gratitude to the entire team for being steadfast despite the challenges in the previous year.
Indeed, the past year being an election year with its own uncertainties was challenging for us individually and of course as a business. But we continued to work hard, and through it all, through our resilience, this is how far the Lord has brought us. Dear colleagues, this year, the Multimedia Group is 30 years, a remarkable milestone in journalism and media excellence. We will continue to stay true to our values and commit to media excellence, integrity, and most importantly, public excellence.
Other staff who joined in the Thanksgiving service shared their experience working with the Multimedia Group and the expectation for the new year.
Our motto, our energy is Christ at work, and that has given us the energy
to push us forward from day one to date.
Everything that we do, we've grown over the years. In terms of on air, we've been the leaders for a very long time, and we still are. So the experience has been very great.
Samson Ado, popularly known as Alaje, is the longest serving employee in Kumasi.
Really tough, but my memory is that the good platform that multimedia will give you to excel. It's a learning field. If you are here as a journalist, you can be a presenter. You can be administrator. It's a learning field for everybody.
Starting the year with God, the Multimedia Group is poised to continually touch lives in Ashanti region and beyond, and also continually create good content for the audience. Here at the Multimedia Group Kumasi, my name is Arabna Akwi.
That pretty face ushering us into the business update segment now with Benjamin Akapo.
Welcome to business. Let's get into our first story. And the total amount of gold that the Bank of Ghana is holding as reserve build-up has increased significantly. George Riafe has the rest of the story.
Data released by the Bank of Ghana showed that these holdings increased from 19.5 tons to 30.5 tons ending December 2024. One program that has played a significant role in this build-up is the Bank of Ghana's Gold Purchase Program, an initiative that has seen the central bank buy more gold with the local currency to build up its reserves, now running into billions of dollars. This has been a mix of dollar cash and gold. For some market watchers, the development could send signals that the Bank of Ghana is now in a strong position to support the Ghana city, as well as meet its debt obligations on behalf of government. The latest economic and financial data released by the Bank of Ghana puts the country's international reserves at $8.9 billion, ending December last year, representing 4 months of import cover.
Now, the Minister-designate for Labour, Jobs and Employment, Rashid Pelpour, has emphasized that the government is ready to support already existing businesses to participate in the 24-hour economy. He disclosed this statement during a ministerial parliamentary vetting.
And policy direction of it is to give vent to businesses, to make it not just a choice, but a policy decision by the state, to ensure that in doing so, businesses can be supported. Those businesses that were not in 24 hours can now be supported to join the race. It's no longer going to be as and when I like it, but just when I like it and backed by government policy. So it is true that several organizations are already working 24 hours, and that's giving credence to the fact that we can get others to join them. You know, one of the challenges that other businesses are facing working 24 hours is how much they can ensure security, and we say we'll provide the security. Is how much they can ensure enough capacity. We said we will support them with the capacity, you know, and etc. etc. How much do we have enough money to pay for electricity? We said we will support you to do so. It's simply just to boost production, create more opportunity for our people to work, and to ensure that we reshape the economy in a manner that is going to be work-based and production-based.
Let's head to our currency exchange for this morning. Well, that's it for business. Sweetie Abochi is back on your screens.
Yes, and it's a wrap for the AM News Bulletin on the AM show. But stay, because we get right into our news review segment. And Kofi Tonto, political aide to former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and David Vondi, Member of Parliament for Trifua Tibokwa, they're joining us to review the newspapers. We're back in a bit.
Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for us to get into the newspapers right here on the News Review. Joining us for a conversation, and I'm here, of course, with Sweetie Abochi, and we're also joined by Kofi Tonto, his political aide to former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and we also have David Vondi, he's MP, Member of Parliament for Trifua Tibokwa. He joins the conversation as well. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Well, we'll give you each a minute, 2 minutes at most, to walk us through any reflections you may have on national issues. It could be personal, professional, anything. 2 minutes, walk us through the trail of thoughts. Let me start with you, Kofi Tonto.
Well, for me, last week really brought to bear, the work we do as politicians and the exigencies of saying, our work can be very dangerous at times. Last week, I went to a radio program, and I expressed my views on Sam George and his vetting. I expressed my views, especially on his confession that he was the person who encouraged people to go to PMMC's assay lab and etc., and the implications of same. Only to come back to my Facebook and see death threats on my life and all of that. Oh, yeah. People sending me messages that they will kill me for expressing my views. So it goes to tell you how divisive our society really is becoming. But I'm grateful to God. I just have to be careful and make sure that I
what
order
did
my
you
steps.
say, though, that, could cause such reactions?
Oh, all that I said was to explain the implications of that decision. Because, for example, if people storm illegally and criminally storm the premises of PMMC, one, it affects businesses. BOG had about 17 boxes of gold worth about 327 kilos of gold. A private company also had their gold, and they couldn't export the gold because of that commotion. What it means is that BOG couldn't fulfill its obligations to its partners outside. It contributed to the near fuel shortage that we had in Ghana. About 3-4 weeks ago, we almost had a fuel shortage.
So this is what you said?
This is what I said.
You just explained the
implications, yes.
Ah, interesting.
So...
Have you reported to the police?
I'll do so. This happened on Friday. I'll do so. Just to make sure I protect myself.
Okay. Well, I hope the police comes to your aid so nothing happens to you.
Yeah.
Mr. Vondi.
Yeah.
What would be your take?
Well, good morning to our viewers. It's been a while that I've been here. After the elections, I think it's been one, activity or the other. We're swearing in our nominees and vetting, because I think most of them have been vetted already. I think the 40 of them that have been appointed by His Excellency Don Dramani Mahama. Very good job there. Fulfilling our promises of appointing our cabinet ministers within the first 14 days of his election and swearing in as President of the Republic of Ghana. So much fulfilled. And many more are coming. Again, another, takeaway was what happened in Parliament where, the appointment committee would have to resort to some, physical confrontations and distractions of, and I thought that it was my takeaway, and I think that they should be able to manage themselves well. I don't know why you allow
one person to be vetted for more than 5 hours, and then you come and you vet another person less than 30 minutes, and so forth and so on. I think that these are matured people. They should be able to, allocate their time properly. If you're going to go give one person, 2 hours, 1 hour, it should be same to all of them, and to stop this brouhaha, because I understand that what brought the issue was about the fact that, okay, we're tired, we don't want to go on vetting, it's late, and somebody says, okay, but you vetted one particular nominee more than 5 hours, so why would you say you're tired? We have time to, schedules and to meet, and so
but
we're going to go on.
But would you agree, though, that some of these nominees, the mandate, the work ahead of them, or should I say the ministries that they've been appointed to man, requires a more thorough line of questioning and all that compared to some others?
I have no
For
problem
example,
whatsoever.
The 5 hours we're talking about,
Yep.
you're referring to Sam George, right? Or Kudeto Ablakwa.
Right.
Those ministries are huge, are they not?
I mean, they are huge. All other ministries are huge.
Well.
And so I think that, time management is their problem. And once they're able to deal with the time management, I'm sure they will be able to, so for me, so far so good. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, his appointments are really on point. I mean, I've not seen any individual that have been appointed to any of the ministries that anybody is raising issues about. That tells us that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is in and to deliver on his promises, and that's, for me, the best things that happened within the week, and my takeaways as well.
Ben, any follow-ups? Should we go to the papers?
Just quickly on the vetting bit and then Kofi Tonto's issue. I'll keep saying that it makes... I have to be careful with my words. I have to be more... It's not that I can't use them. I think I just want to be more friendly. Some of the vetting and the time we spend on them, let's just put it mildly, some of the questions are unnecessary. And some necessary questions that should also be asked are sometimes not asked.
Absolutely.
I feel the majority would usually just pamper the person through because, yeah, it's our appointee. Yes, be mild, but also be asked questions that bring something out of the person. And the minority sometimes, look, some of the questions are just frivolous. I have cited what happens in the US and other places. I don't think we need to do this. Like, I've forgotten who sat here and we had this discussion. 1 hour, 30 minutes maximum. Someone should be cleared. If it's someone who has a lot to answer, 2 hours maximum. What are we vetting people for 6 hours, 5 hours for? Makes no sense to me. Kofi, it's sad that you are getting threatened. I have been threatened in the past many times. And when I say in the past, I'm sure you understand.
No, I don't.
It's good that you have sought, well, I want to believe you do. It's good that you've sought police protection.
No, I haven't yet.
But
I'll go there.
Oh, you're going there today. Yeah. Yes. We don't have the benefit of what you said that triggered this. You are saying what you are saying. We don't have the benefit of having listened to. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, that's
okay.
That's
but it doesn't justify someone threatening you in any way. My only hope is that political actors will learn that what reflects on the goose will reflect on the gander, and that threatening people in the past, if you are threatened in the future, we must just bring this thing to a cessation. Because I remember this morning, and pardon me, Ahmed Hussein Swale, and what happened to him.
Yep.
Someone threatened, and it ended up there. So let's avoid some of these things moving forward. But please speak to the police so that your security can be
But I can assure you, I mean, I'm sure I've gone on interviews with Vondi several times, and people know the type of politics I
mean, you are pretty mild. You don't, so I don't know what could have triggered
exactly.
something.
So
like
I stated what the facts were, and the fact that such commentary and the implications, and I explained what the implications were, and the fact that Sam George, for admitting to criminality, for me, was unfit to continue in the role.
I think one other thing you should do, was it on social media? Or were you sent a direct message? Was it Facebook?
Oh, no, on Facebook, yeah.
So these things, we must also let the police get down to the bottom of the accounts holders.
Yes, yeah. You know, interestingly, when he sent the message, then he immediately disabled the message. So by the time I saw the message and tried to click on his page, etc., he had...
But did you at least see a name?
No, I did.
You saw the name?
I'm sure the police should be able to
forensic,
do some work and identify the person.
I don't know whether you would want me to say something about that.
Well, let me
quickly,
briefly,
just briefly. I think that we've come a long way. These political attacks and on our persons and people who express their views in this democracy must stop. I don't think it is benefits to anybody, you know, when you come on radio, television, and you express your view, and people would have to attack you, call you all kind of names. And I've gone through that myself, you know, and I think that it must stop. It doesn't matter where the political device you're coming from. We're Ghanaians, and that's what we must respect. You know, this is politics. You're not going to hold power forever. You should know. And so it's important that we treat each other as Ghanaians first before any other thing. So these political attacks, calling and threatening and all that, I mean, this young man, very young man who is minding his business, only making comment and statement, you know, I don't think that that's what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama needs. Right. And I don't think His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will send anybody go around threatening people.
Okay. Oh, no,
so these things must stop. This must stop.
Right.
It is not good, and it's not painting any good image of our government.
Okay,
and
thank you.
We're too young.
Let's
let me put it on record that I'm never saying that Sam George is involved in this.
Not at all. I agree with you.
So I just want to put it.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
So the Ghanaian Times carries a story that makes me happy, or I should just wait, hold my horses. Arrest, prosecute illegal miners. President Mahama directs 3 ministers to take action. We sat here and we've spoken at length about how, you know, first, that's, you know, there was no galamsey in the speech. We heard Erastus Asare Donko narrate how some known NDC sympathizers have laid siege to some of the forests. So it's good that the president is actually coming out clearly to say that arrest, prosecute illegal miners. And I'll get into that story in a bit. On the front page, we also have NDC Pro Forum supporter Blakwa to advance Ghana's global agenda. Don't keep LPG cylinders indoors. NPA cautions. That is Mr. Edujita Maklo, the new NPA boss. And a disclaimer, the Ghanaian Times' attention has been drawn to a fake headline. Sierra Leone's High Commissioner to Ghana has been apprehended in Accra while allegedly in possession of cocaine. Oh, wow. Superimposed on its lead story headline. So they're saying this is not from them. Quickly, let's run through the stories. I want to start from Galamsey. President John Dramani Mahama has directed Ministers of Land and Natural Resources, Interior and Attorney General and Minister of Justice to arrest and prosecute any person or group of persons engaged in illegal mining anywhere in the country. Similarly, the government, President Mahama said, has not issued any lease to anyone to mine in any forest in the country, and any person found engaged in the act must be dealt with in accordance with the law. Quote, let me state categorically that this government has not given any person or group of persons any authority to carry out any form of mining in forest reserves, as recently reported. So that's what the President, John Dramani Mahama, is saying, and he's tasked the Ministers of Land and Natural Resources, Interior, and the Attorney General to take swift action against these illegal miners. Now, there are 2 more stories, and I'll come to you, gentlemen. Committee to investigate ECG procurement set up. The Minister of Energy and Green Transition, Mr. John Abdullahi Jinapor, on Friday, inaugurated a 5-member investigative committee at the Electricity Company of Ghana to oversee all procurement practices. Now, according to the minister, the move is aimed at addressing the inefficiencies and alleged malpractices that have led to significant financial losses to the company and the energy sector in general. And then there's a story coming from Parliament. That's the last one I'll do in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. 7-member committee set up to investigate appointments committee disturbances. We just spoke about it. But the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has constituted a 7-member special committee to investigate the violent altercation that erupted during the appointment committee sitting last Thursday. And the committee has been given 10 days to submit its findings and recommendations. Don't forget that he's gone ahead to suspend those 4 members of parliament, that is Roxanne Nelson Dapiamakbo, Jerry Ahmed Shaib, Frank Anodompre, and Al-Hassan Suleiman Atampuli. But in a related story, the Minority Caucus rejects suspension of members. It's also here in the newspaper, page 9. It says the Minority Caucus in Parliament has rejected the suspension of 3 of its members following the altercation that erupted at the Appointments Committee sitting on Thursday. It urged the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, to exercise restraint and ensure that disciplinary measures are applied fairly and in accordance with parliamentary rules. And they're not the only ones who are questioning the Speaker's authority to do that. But gentlemen, let me start with you, Mr. Vondi. What do you make of these stories? First, Galamsey, what the President is saying, then Alban Bagbin's suspension of those 4 members of Parliament and the Minority Caucus's rejection of that, and then the 5-member committee set up to investigate inefficiencies at ECG.
Thank you very much. I don't know where to start from, but I think that the Galamsey issues are issues that are very dear to my heart, because I'm coming from a constituency where, I mean, we're not exempted from these Galamsey things. You know, you see young men and women, you know, in very odd areas, which of course they are not supposed to be at the riverside, the river, you know, River Pra, you know, and they kind of, I think I had a conversation with the police commander in my constituency, I think last week, to kind of try and go and deal with the matters. And so it's a good call from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. We're not saying that Ghanaians should not mine. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that you must engage in legal mining. The illegal mining is actually degrading our forest, destroying our land, and I mean, today water is very expensive, more than fuel, if you look at it properly. Very soon there will be no water for us to drink at all, and I don't think it's a good thing. Yes, we want to make money. Young men and women want to make money, but that's not how to make money. And so for me, the call for the security agencies to rise and do their work and to arrest those perpetrators, for me, it's a good call for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. It is my prayer and hope that we won't see what we saw. And it was some of the reasons why Nanado's government would have to come to a halt. It was the reason why Ghanaians would have to reject them in that huge manner. And so for me, it is important we don't repeat the mistakes of the past government, where individuals that belong to the government, you know, are mining in various forests, reserves, and water bodies. You see chairmen of the party coming on TV displaying the golds that they mine in I mean, it was odd. So for me, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's call, we must all listen and walk out of it and not engage ourselves in this illegal mining. Look,
so that's on Galamsey.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on to that.
And maybe before we move on, odd as it is, it's even more odd that such people walk free.
Absolutely.
And that there are no ways of legally dealing with them. Well, getting to the bottom of how you sourced this gold and all of that. But as we talk about illegalities, the Alwyn MP, who is a member of your party, has also come into the picture in recent times. Even traditional rulers are calling on, you know, for some action to be brought to bear on him. We've not heard anything. How about that?
Well, I am in oblivion to that story. I don't know about that. But if it's about gold mining and all that, I agree with you. Illegal mining. I agree with you that those that have, you know, throwing gold, you know, to our faces on television and all that, they must be questioned. But I can tell you that all those things will be done. We're barely 1 month in government. And so I think that we're still setting up our government. Ministers are now being appointed and so forth and so on. It will be too hard on His Excellency John Dramani Mahama if we're, you know, picking him on all these things now. So let's allow him. I'm sure that, and I trust him, he will do what he's supposed to do. Now, the ECG, we've said this thing when in opposition, that there have been a lot of malfeasance that we thought had happened in the ECG. It would be very unfair if we do not investigate, now that we're in government, to let Ghanaians know that what we're talking about all this while, there is some level of merit in it or not. So for me, I applaud the minister. John should go ahead, and also want to caution the committee that have been set up to investigate all these matters, to do a good job. You know, for me, I think we will succeed. The beginning of our government tells you that we're serious about solving Ghanaians' problem. You know, look at the number of days that we've been in government and the things that we're doing. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is doing. His appointees are not leaving any stone unturned at all. Okay. For me, it tells you that we're doing well. Of course, Edwiji Tamaklo is my very good brother, my friend, my personal lawyer. You know, so I know him. He would deliver. He would deliver. And then the LPG cylinder and the product itself is really expensive. Now, when I was coming, I was listening to your news on Joy News that, you know, prices of gas is going to go up by, I think, about 4%. And then the oil, you know, petrol, 1.9, diesel. I mean, for me, these are some of the areas we'd have to pay attention to, you know, going forward. But hey, we're too young in government to be bashed.
You are not too young
to be bashed. So Kofi, we're still setting up our government, and then we'll get there.
You know what's interesting is that when they took over the affairs of the nation, proponents of the government and then allies of the government started making commentary. You know, this government is too young. If you didn't say anything before, don't talk, etc. Look, some of us have taken the decision that will not be a destructive opposition and just criticize for criticizing's sake. And that's why, for me, I've openly said that I want President Mahama to succeed. Because President Mahama succeeding does not mean that the MPP cannot come back to power. Ghanaians can still say that, irrespective of his success, we want a new direction, we want a new way of doing things, we want someone with new ideas, fresh solutions, and therefore we'll go with the MPP. So we don't necessarily have to wish for Mahama to fail for us to come to power. But that's not to say that we are not going to criticize you. We'll criticize you constructively and hold your feet to the fire. So this whole thing about it's been a few days, so we should allow you. Look, what happened in Obuasi? Should we allow for 1 year before we criticize it? That we've lost lives? I mean, that your party hooligans went into a mine illegally? We will condemn it. But that's not to
have any evidence to suggest it's our party hooligans who went there.
Well,
I don't
my evidence is that your party leaders went there to commensurate with the dead, the families of the dead.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, but why would they go there? And they went there admitting that these were our party people. This is not a matter of debate. So let's not even go there.
Did they admit that these were their people?
Of course, they did.
Maybe I missed that.
Oh, yeah. Joseph Yamin went there.
Okay. No, I know the people who went there. Did
but if you watch the video, they admitted in the video that these were our men, but we shouldn't act irresponsibly because our boys are dead.
No,
they said that.
So this is a matter of life and death. You'd have to be careful.
No, please.
So please,
I wouldn't
attribute.
I wouldn't sit here.
People who really don't have any idea.
No, I haven't attributed murder to anybody.
What he's saying is that we shouldn't wait a year to condemn the things we saw happening.
Yeah, I haven't made any attribution.
But then when you say the party, yes, that's where you have
I mean, I thought that we should be
but
careful with those.
Let's move on. And we also have a video of your party people saying that when you come to power, you are also going to appropriate lands, etc., for yourselves so you can go and mine. You know, we shouldn't wait a year to condemn these things, Vondi. That's a fact. You rode on the back of illegal mining to come into power. So you don't come into power and tell us, give us 2 weeks or give us 3 months.
But that's on Galamsey. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on, minority rejecting
but I didn't finish the Galamsey.
Okay, please.
But you see, I just want to be very objective on the Galamsey issue. The Galamsey issue is not an easy fight. So I expect President Mahama to fight it. But I'm also objective because I know how difficult it is. Look, somebody who is mining with an appropriate size of land can make about 4 kilos or 2 kilos a week. Let's even say 2 kilos a week. That's 160,000 United States dollars times 4. How much is that?
So that's the difficulty.
That's the difficulty, the money involved. And I kept saying it when we were in power. Like, look, this is a money issue. If somebody is making $500,000 a month, some $1 million a week, depending on the size, It's not easy fighting that fight. So I don't expect it to be easy for President Mahama. Reality will dawn on them very soon. But we will hold their feet to the fire. But we wish them well. On the committee, my sister, it's almost becoming like this government is a committee abiding. Oh, yes. 1 week, one committee. I mean, you just stated about 3 committees here. John Jinapo has a committee. Suame Jemfi has a committee. President Mahama has appointed a committee to organize. Look, not a committee to even do the activity, to organize the activity. A committee to organize economic forum, a committee to organize education forum.
What's so wrong with it?
No, my point is we voted for them to think and solve our solution. We didn't vote for them to set up committees.
Are these not people who've been handpicked because they have the expertise?
When you were voting, were you voting for committees or you were voting for President Mahama to solve?
How does Mahama solve problems?
I'm sorry, that's a little bit.
Just a quick one. What are the committees supposed to do?
I just told you that the committees are to set up other activities. I just gave you an example of one committee.
The Gold Board Committee, what is it supposed to do?
The Gold Board Committee, they set out to more or less come up with an act on what the Gold Board is going to do. When you read what Suame Jemfi said, that they are going to
streamline some activities in the
but I mean, look,
wait.
We can even go.
Let's take this.
We can even go into the Gold Board
bit by bit.
because I was the board secretary for PMMC,
right?
So I know that area very well. We can go into it,
right?
Yeah. So that's not an issue. Yeah.
You think what they are going to do is irrelevant?
No, I haven't said that.
So
I'm saying that there are even duplications, but I want to see ultimately the document they come up with.
I don't.
For example, by law, PMMC is the national assayer. So if you tell me that you are going to set up a Gold Board to become the national assayer, are you going to do away with PMMC, for example? Because by law, PMMC is the national assayer.
Right.
By law, PMMC is the national agency that is responsible for giving export license, etc. You said the Gold Board is going to do all of these things.
I will not
so
claim
there are questions.
I will not claim to know or want to know what direction the PMMC and the Gold Board will take. But if we want to talk about duplications, we could go back in the past and look at numerous duplications.
That's fine, and that's why Ghanaians voted.
And I don't like to equalize, but I'm saying, all I'm trying to say is, you are saying people did not vote for this government to set up committees, right? We've never done that. Nobody votes for, but when you vote for an administration, committees will be set up to do certain work, like you did during your tenure. So is it fair to sit here and say that 1 week, one committee? If we want to go down that road, I don't think you would survive.
You see, my brother, here's the thing. You can go down that route. The bottom line is that you, for instance, sat here on this platform and criticized the decisions of the government that you felt were irresponsible, were inappropriate, or inefficient. And Ghanaians took the decision that we were not satisfied. So we can no longer compare what the MPP did and what this government is doing. In fact, we were told not to compare. You remember? We were told that we shouldn't compare ourselves to Mahama. My point is this. We voted for them to come into power to solve our problems. I am saying every week we are coming up with one committee. Look, you tell me that you have oral. No, I'm coming. You tell me that you have oral, which is supposed to identify all the corrupt activities in MPP's government.
Please conclude your thoughts.
I'm concluding. You set up ORA to do that. And now you are telling me you have set up another committee to do the very same work that you set up ORA to do. What are you telling me? So I have every right to ask, why do we have so many committees? I have every right to ask that question.
Okay. This is what well, it's not about me. Ben, let's do some other stories. I just thought that these committees, I mean, a new government, a new administration, right?
Yes.
Just assumed responsibility, office, all that for the state. You just mentioned that you were the something secretary of PMMC.
Yeah,
board secretary. You're coming from the other party, NPP. This man, Mr. President, is handpicking people who he believes has the expertise, right, to understand what's going on wrong in these state institutions and then figure out how we can move forward. That's why I think we have all these committees. Are you saying that we have too many committees and the committees are just, you know, redundancies? There's nothing really that they're doing?
I've given you evidence of duplication.
Which is?
I have told you that the president set up oral to quote unquote to gather information, go into all agencies and private lives. There are, even now the oral is flying drones over people's private homes, etc. The point is, if oral is going to find out all this information and you set up another committee to also find the same information,
these committees are not permanent. I guess is the point I'm trying to make.
Of course. Most committees are not
taking off.
Of course, right? Most committees are not permanent. But if you have Ministry of Education and you set up a committee to organize a forum on education, are you telling me that Ministry of Education cannot organize a forum?
Okay. Let's do some other papers now.
Are you telling me Ministry of Finance cannot organize a forum on the economy?
Mr. Bondi, let's do your papers.
Okay, so we have Bagbin strikes, suspend 4 MPs over appointment committee disturbances. Then we have Mahama promotes good governance and accountability. Then we have...
Mr. Bondi is very excited.
Very, very excited.
Yes, I have to be
Since
excited.
He won power, the way
I think the government is going on the right direction. Things are working, government is going on the right direction, so you have to be excited. I mean, the committees, more of them will be coming because it's good for Ghana and we're going to put our heads together and we're not going to do things unilaterally. We're going to do it together and it's going to be fine. Minority blast, Bagbin over stiffening opposition voice illegally, and I don't think that is fair. Bagbin is not doing anything, he's just doing the right thing. Mahama pledges support for Africa, prosperity dialogues. Yes, and then Ablakwa adopts Bawumia's idea. I mean, that got to do with the digitization of passport application and so forth and so on. That is the papers I have now with me. Exceptional track record of Dr. Esiama, the new Bank of Ghana boss, Bank of Ghana governor. And I think Dr. Esiama in opposition, he was part of those of us who criticized things like taking away people's licenses in the banking sector. And now that he's given the opportunity, I'm sure that those that are deserving of their licenses being restored, he was going to do that because it's a way of killing jobs in the banking sector. And so for me, I have said a million times that this banking sector thing, we can create segregations. People who would want to go into a very, big commercial banking should have their licenses and their cut point where they should have their capital, those who want to be in the middle class. And then those who are doing the low, very low one, taking care of the SMEs and so forth and so on. And so it's a good thing, I believe, and I wish him well. And I believe that the gentleman is going to deliver, knowing that my own boss, Atuforsen, Dr. Atuforsen, who is the finance minister now, I was with him last week, and you can see the gentleman is really working. I think that our banking sector is going to be revived, and we're going to see our CD gaining some very good strength very soon, and the economy is going to be doing well very soon. And I have no doubt whatsoever about the people, the kind of individuals that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is appointing. This is just one of them.
Right.
And so forth and so on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was what paper was that?
That was
the News Center.
The News Center.
Let's do the Daily Searchlight.
Yeah, the Daily Searchlight talks about President Mahama nominates Dr. Johnson Esiama as BOG governor. He was one of the people who were cleared by the Attorney General. We are yet to really find out why, but I'm sure with time we'll find out. Free SHS.
If you make such a point, you are subtly pointing, accusing. That's what you are suggesting. So what is it that you are suggesting? You might as well go out and spill. Do you have any evidence?
No. I'm saying that he was cleared. by the Attorney General. I mean, that's a fact. Is that not
That's
so?
a pure mischief.
Yes. Yeah, he was cleared. And I'm saying that we are yet to see a paper or some document from the government on why he was cleared. You know, at least it's important that the Ghanaian is educated on the reasons. That is all. I've not impugned any ill motive. I'm just asking a question. You know,
so your concern is why he was cleared?
Yes, we ought to know.
Okay, right.
Because there is evidence as to why he was in court. So we need to know why that evidence or the state feels that it doesn't want to prosecute them.
The Attorney General just felt that those evidence are irrelevant and will not make any sense prosecuting.
Wow, he cannot just feel like evidence is irrelevant.
That's what it is. So we just have to move on.
No, you can come back again. I mean, you can state what you want to say,
what I'm
but you
saying
cannot
is
say that the Attorney General just feels that some evidence.
The Attorney General doesn't work on feelings.
Yeah,
it's not
Attorney General.
It's about evidence before.
Attorney General, the evidence before him, the evidence before Attorney General.
Right.
Dr. Yeni believes that, I mean, prosecuting the man on those evidence, he was not going to get any favorable, prosecution or judgment, and so he felt that the state would want to.
He felt.
Are you saying that there was not enough evidence to hold this man or keep the courts trying to?
According to the state prosecutor, Attorney General, the evidence before him, he will not be able to go to court with those evidence.
But you see the wisdom in him, insinuating or just stating that we don't know why he's been cleared. So
if everybody is entitled to having information. So if he feels that the information explanation be given, I don't have any.
But this is nothing to
at all.
It's not a bone to pick, because usually when an Attorney General gives such or makes such decisions, there are reasons, and the reasoning can be easily found. There shouldn't be a problem in respect of why. We could go back to what's his name, Atu Essien's issue, for example, and how some felt a long time ago he should have been indicted. And why we waited years until eventually it was done. So these are issues that, whether this way or that, if there's prima facie evidence, you can go back and look at what's happened with Dr. Opuni. Why has he been cleared now? After how many years was he?
He's also another person.
So many years. These are issues
so far they've been excellent at being clearing agents, but that's another matter.
No, we are serious on this table. I don't understand what clearing agents are in this matter.
In a matter of 2 weeks, Opuni gone, your former chairman and Kwaku Buahinen.
Is this Sami Photo you are speaking of?
Yes, I forgot.
But let me ask you though, all of these cases that you mentioned, especially with Dr. Opuni, how long did it last? If there was something really to pin them on, do you realize how long Dr. Opuni's trial lasted without
you see, Dr. Opuni's case,
results?
Dr. Opuni's case was not a very straightforward case, and that he was not just sitting there; he was also taking legal actions. In some instances, he will even question the objectivity or the objective nature of the judge, etc.
This is someone who was in court, the consequences of which he could end up in jail. Were you expecting him to just sit there?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that let's not create the impression that there was a straightforward case that sat there for 7 years. No, it wasn't.
No matter how winding this case was. 7 years? You could
my brother, there are cases in court more than 7 years. That doesn't warrant clearing
on this
case.
matter. If you have a watertight case against someone, especially when you would go to the Ghana Standards Authority, the FDA, and there would be cases of tests being conducted and supposedly powder being tested instead of liquid and all of that. How are you going to win the case?
You see, my brother, I am not a lawyer.
Anyway, it's your opinion.
I am not a lawyer. I am saying that, the initial comment that I made was that if the Attorney General is going to clear individuals, the least he can do is to offer Ghanaians the basis for doing that. Then we can establish that, Opuni was treated unfairly. I'm okay. But if you just clear individuals, Sami Photo, Kwaku Buahine, and all these people, and you don't tell us anything, I have every right to speculate as a Ghanaian. So if he wants to clear my doubts, he can go ahead and educate me on the basis for which he cleared these.
You could also
otherwise, for me, in my mind, you clear someone and a week later
Kofi,
you appoint
let's make tracks. But
as
the point
governor.
is, if you want that
no, you clear somebody and a week later the person is the governor.
You can also
Why?
petition to seek that information.
No,
so,
my brother,
so would you take it on?
My brother, my point. I may. My point is, you clear somebody and a week later the person is appointed the governor. You don't think I have a right to ask?
I don't think anybody here is saying you don't have a right.
Questioning
I'm actually
your right.
suggesting
But you were talking about feelings.
I'm actually suggesting to you to petition for the information.
Right. Okay, well, no
Again,
problem.
for me, I don't even know the position of the law as to whether the Attorney General,
already stated
Attorney General should be going around explaining why he had
the position is feelings.
Hold on.
That's what you said.
Hold on.
You said the position is feelings.
The elections are over. I'm sure the propaganda would have to stop. Let's face the
but
reality.
you said feelings.
All right. Let's make tracks with more stories. Were you done with your paper? Were you done with your paper?
No, he's done. I'm the one. I'm the one.
Okay, so Kofi, let's make.
Free SHS is going. It's a question mark. And as Mahama sets up a National Education Forum, we hope to see what comes out of it.
Which paper is that?
The Daily Searchlight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ghana to host Investment Trade Week in July. More than 150 businesses to attend. Driver 70 kills physically challenged shoemaker in tragic accident. Confusion over. GNA ISD says that as Kwache Ofosu drop hints about nebulous government communication office. You know, I was an ISD officer at some point as the head of information at Ghana's embassy in Washington. You fall under ISD. So I'm very interested in this subject. I want to know what comes out of it. And then it talks about $1 trades at 15 cedis and 90 pesos on forest bureaus. Talks about Canada imposes 25% tariff in trade war with the US.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ben?
I have some interesting stories on the Ghanaian publisher. Minority derides Bagman's suspension order. I met someone, I think, yesterday, and regardless of whether the order is valid or not, I think it was a huge disgrace. I was very unhappy when I saw the BBC and other, Reuters and others picking up the... Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Picking up the story. And I don't know how sometimes our members of parliament think from both sides. Because like I said in my blunt thoughts last week, it could have been avoided. The majority could have decided to act in a certain way. The minority could have decided to act in a certain way. I feel particularly sad, though, about the clerk to parliament and how the minority leader addressed it. I don't feel, while I like part of his style, dislike part of his style, I feel the way the matter was handled could have been. People are entitled to their political opinions. If they are doing their work and it's right, I don't feel it was nice the way he singled her out. Mahama backs prosperity dialogues, calls for urgent action on trade. J.B. Dankwa demonized and vilified, but is still relevant today, Kwadwo Afare writes. I find it interesting how when a certain party is in power, you will be talking Nkrumah. When another party is in power, you will be talking J.B. Dankwa. These are statesmen, both of them. They came, they did what they did. They played their part to bring us to where we are. We celebrate them, and that's it. Then there's the Daily Analyst. I don't have enough time to get into my story, so I'll just leave it with the headlines. Mahama sets up committee to plan National Education Forum. Do not keep filled LPG cylinders indoors, NPA urges. And I keep mine outdoors. Yeah? It's keep them outdoors. Find some place outside, hook them up, ensure no one can cut into them, because if there's anything, and especially if you leave the house, there's a lot of danger. And if people don't realize, if there's a leak and you turn the lights on, it could cause an explosion.
Really?
Yes. Merely turning the lights on if there's a leak and you don't sense it, and you turn the kitchen light on, it could trigger. So it's better to just keep it out. More wahala for UPPF boss, oral special prosecutor to go after him as expensive cars, huge mansions at Trasako, Chado, and Ada pop up. There's also massive demo to Rock Tema over attempt to appoint Asari Kwesidako as TDC boss. There are other stories, but we're going to sew it up here. That's it from my end, sweetie.
Just headlines from the Custodian newspaper. Minority rejects Bagbane selective justice. Bagbane didn't follow rights procedure in suspending foreign MPs. Dr. Kojo Asante, that is CDG boss, and small-scale miners back Mr. Emmanuel Amabua to succeed. These stories and many more in the Custodian newspaper. Pick one for yourself and get into it. Those who join us for the news review this morning, Kofi Tonto is political aide to former Vice President Dr. Mamudu Bawumia, and we had also Mr. Vondi, Member of Parliament for Trifu Atiemokwa. Thank you all so much for joining us. Please stay because sports comes up next on the AM show.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here on the AM show with me, Muftao Nabila Abdullah. We start on a rather sad note as Kumasi Asante Kotoko Fan lost his life during a Ghana Premier League match between the Porcupine Warriors and Instructman FC in Instructre. Media reports suggest that he was stabbed following an altercation that occurred at the VIP end and was later rushed to the hospital where he passed on. We have details in this report.
To the home side.
About 8 minutes into the second half of the match day 19 fixture at the Nana Amwa Kronmansa II Park, tensions flared between Santraman and Asante Kotoko players after a free kick was awarded to the home side. What started as a disagreement quickly escalated into a physical altercation with players exchanging blows and kicks. The chaos spread beyond the pitch as fans stormed onto the field, attacking some Kotoko players and officials. The match was subsequently halted for over 30 minutes as the violence continued in the stands. Eventually, order was restored and play resumed, but not without consequences. Asante Kotoko was reduced to 10 men after 2 red cards, while Insantraman picked up only 1 red card, going on to win the game by 1-0. But the violence did not end with a final whistle. Outside the stadium, angry fans reportedly attacked Kotoko officials, journalists and supporters. Tragically, one Kotoko fan identified by fellow supporters as Francis Frimpong alias Pole was fatally stabbed, leading to his untimely death. An eyewitness of the scene shares more details.
On the right side of me,
some fans were fighting Pole beside my car. The heat of the exchanges, one guy stabbed him close to his heart.
But the way he stabbed, I know he will make it because he stabbed so deep to start. And now this see
He was bleeding profusely and was rushed to the hospital in Suame, where he subsequently lost his life after failed attempts to revive him.
So we chased the ambulance down to Seattle. Somebody made that ward where they were just working on him and he was gone.
In a statement, Asante Kotoko strongly condemned the act of violence and called on the Ghana Football Association and the police service to launch a full investigation. The club assured its full cooperation with any enquiries into the matter. Meanwhile, the home side in Santraman, while condemning the incident, rejected allegations of being complicit. This latest development is yet another black mark on a league already struggling with low patronage and dwindling sponsorship. More significantly, it is a setback to ongoing effort by the GFA to eliminate hooliganism from Ghana football.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Football Association has tasked its head of security, Lydia Donko, to spearhead the investigations into this matter. They want to have an understanding that led to the demise of Francis Frimpong, who is a staunch Kumasi Asante Kotoko fan. The Ghana Football Association, in a statement on their website, said that the football governing body strongly condemns the acts of violence and lawlessness that marred the Ghana Premier League match between Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Insuatruman FC on 2nd February 2025 at the Nana Kronamansa Park. The tragic events resulted in the loss of life, several injuries, and destruction of property, an unacceptable blemish on the integrity of our game. The GFA extends its deepest condolences to the family of the deceased and wishes a swift recovery to those injured. The Executive Committee of the GFA has, with immediate effect, invoked Article 14.2 of the Ghana Premier League regulations by banning the use of the Insuatruman home venue until further notice. This action ensures the safety of all stakeholders whilst investigations proceed. Furthermore, the GFA has tasked the Security Committee led by DCOP Lydia Donko and the FA prosecutors to immediately move to site and gather all necessary evidence, including match reports and relevant documentation to present to the FA's disciplinary committee for adjudication of all sporting matters. Additionally, the GFA has formally engaged the Ghana Police to immediately conduct a full-scale investigation into the incident and bring all perpetrators to justice. We expect law enforcement agencies to deploy all necessary tools to ensure that those responsible for these heinous acts are identified, arrested, and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. That is the statement released by the Ghana Football Association following the incidents that happened in Suatre. And many would recall that somewhere 2021, at this very venue, RTU, Real Tamale United, was also physically assaulted to the extent that many of their players were injured. And the Ghana Football Association banned the venue. And this is just repeating itself. In fact, Insuatruman, in their statement, claims that the gentleman, in the person of Francis Frimpong, earlier had an issue with someone at a drinking spot. And their claims are that maybe they believe the person they had the issue with at the drinking spot stabbed him, which led to his death. And now let's hear from the Minister of Sports and Recreation designate Kofi Adams. He's been speaking to my colleague Nathaniel Atto. He says that he's got an issue with leadership of the Ghana Football Association earning equal or more than players when it comes to bonuses paid to them.
Yeah, maintenance is a problem. Today, when you go to our various stadia, maintenance is disastrous. I was having an engagement with some of your colleagues earlier, and they were talking about some monies that are paid to some members of management committees of some associations. Yes. And I asked myself, is it right? Is it wrong? What's the justification? Have we really sat through to find out whether that is how it should be done? And we need to have a serious conversation about that. Whether that if we do certain things and people think that, oh no, the game is now a platform for some people to, as we say it in quote, to chop our money. Maybe that may not be the case. If we open up, we may have a justification. But if you...
So what you are calling for is more conversations around it so we could reach a common point?
I think so. I think so. Because
yeah.
Does it really make sense that I play a game, 90 minutes plus, we win, I'm giving something, and another person who really didn't play is also giving same?
Kofi Adams also described the maintenance of Ghana football stadia as disastrous. According to him, the maintenance culture would have to change if Ghana really wants to have facilities that will be able to organize competitions recognized by CAF and FIFA.
Yeah, maintenance is a problem. Today, when you go to our various stadia, maintenance is disastrous. We don't maintain our facilities. That was why yesterday I was talking about infrastructure is good, but it's good to the extent that you can maintain it. And so even as we construct, we must have a maintenance culture. You remember another time, the Cape Coast Sports Stadium that we constructed, that we had maintained so much. When we left office, around March somewhere, I don't remember that particular year, but it was virtually run down, and run down to the extent that it could not be used for a game. And I remember the director of Regional Sports Authority was to be punished or was to be transferred by the minister, and then the NSA boss also said, no, he will not accept, and so on and so forth. But it's just to tell you that the poor maintenance culture. But we need to bring back that, because if we maintain our facilities and maintain them well, their lifespan will increase. And when their lifespan increases, we tend to benefit so much from it. And so maintenance is very important. It gives a longer lifespan. Sometimes simple painting. Take, for example, Accra Sports Stadium. Everybody knows that the stadium is so close to the sea. So the material that you use in constructing must be material that will not react with salt. But if you use material that will react with salt and you leave it unmaintained regularly, it will deteriorate very, very fast. Basic things should tell you this. So today you go there and you have the some of the iron.
This is the big segment, a big story segment on the AM show. Ben, what are we talking about?
Well, we're going to be contemplating former Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu and what he's had to say on the back of that decision by Speaker, the Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagman, to suspend 4 members of Parliament. And some say it is not grounded in the standing orders, for which reason it cannot even apply. The minority seems to want to sidestep that, but the question is, has the Speaker gone beyond his bounds? We'll be deliberating on that issue, and joining us for a conversation on that, we have John Darko, who is legislator for Suame constituency. We also have Inusaf Hussaini. He's a former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, also a former Tamale Central legislator. Gentlemen, good morning. Let me start with Inusaf Hussaini. Good morning to you, sir.
How are you?
I am well. I hope you are too.
Good.
All right. You've followed the actions in Parliament from the Appointments Committee and everything and how things have devolved. What do you make of, first, the actions of the members of Parliament, and second, the response by the Right Honourable Speaker?
Well, thank you so very much for having me on your show this morning. And to start off by saying that the actions of the members of Parliament in the Appointments Committee appear to me to be a toxic mixture of immaturity and impunity. In the sense that what happened there...
For some reason, your voice has tapered off. I don't know whether you could just speak up a bit louder for me, please.
Well, I'm saying that it appears to me that what happened in the Appointments Committee of Parliament was a toxic mixture of immaturity and impunity. You know, when a person refuses, fails, or neglects to use faculty, his emotional faculty, his thinking faculty, in the situation he's confronted with, and goes with a brute ego, or the id in him, like Sigmund Freud said, the animalistic behavior in him, then it shocks people who expect that such a person would be rational, would be civil in his reaction to a situation. So this is what happened. I mean, we saw an animalistic display of their emotions, the id in them, and id in them, id in them. And so clearly that shocked the Ghanaian community. That clearly was very unacceptable. That is not what we expect of our members of parliament. That is not what we voted for. That was not what we had anticipated will come out of the vetting committee. And so it was deeply embarrassing.
And if you look at the standing orders, which Osei Mensah Bonsu references, and on the back of which the minority is digging its heels in, what does it say about such actions by the Speaker?
That the regulations, the standing orders of Parliament, is inadequate in dealing with a situation like that is lamentably clear. So inadequate. I mean, when a situation of this nature happens, the standing order seems to suggest that there will be an abuse of privilege, there will be a contempt of Parliament, and so the actions of those involved have to be referred to the Privileges Committee. And we have a situation where the Privileges Committee of Parliament has not yet been formed. And so the Speaker took it upon himself to constitute himself into a Privileges Committee to sanction the members, recalcitrant members of Parliament. And with the greatest respect to the Speaker, I don't think that his actions are supported by the standing orders or the Parliamentary Act 300 that he referred to, or the Constitution. I mean, sanctions, penalties are not inferred. They are provided in law. I mean, if the drafters of any legislation want to sanction a corporate, a recalcitrant member of Parliament in this case, those sanctions must be provided in law. And let me hasten to add that in a democracy, a key feature of such a system is that actions can only be justified if they are known to have been taken or made, or decisions made following a commonly accepted procedure. That's the only way you can justify a decision or an action taken.
All right.
And in this case, that decision has not followed a commonly accepted procedure.
All right. Hold for me. Let me also acknowledge John Darko. He's Member of Parliament for Suame. Mr. Darko, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, my brother.
We're so grateful that you took the time to join us. Gentlemen, I want both of you to watch what Speaker Bagbin, or listen to what he had to say on this matter, and then we'll come back and continue with the conversation.
Consequently, the following emergency measures are to be taken with dispatch. 1. The circumstances of the absence of a Privileges and Immunity Committee. In that circumstance, a 7-member special committee shall be constituted under Orders 5 and 20, Rule 4, to conduct a full-scale investigation into the events of yesterday and this morning. The committee shall identify all members involved in the disorder and submit its report with findings and recommendations within 10 days from today. Any member found culpable shall face the appropriate disciplinary actions as prescribed by the Constitution 1992, the Parliament Act of 1965, and the Standing Orders of Parliament. This does not absolve the chairman of the Appointments Committee from performing his duty under Order 268, Rule 3, which says, and I quote, "The chairperson of a committee shall maintain order at a meeting of the committee and decide on each question of order. And A, where a member persists in disorderly conduct, the chairperson may refer the conduct of the member to the House for determination." And so I expect the chairman of the committee to also submit a report to this House. The following members shall constitute the membership of the special committee. I have not consulted any member, and this is a duty no member can fail or decline to perform. The committee is to be chaired by Honorable Emmanuel Bejra. Other members, Honorable Kwame Anyimedu Antwi, Honorable Gisela Akushika Tete Agbotui, Mrs. Honorable Abina Osei Asare, Mrs. Honorable Zaneto Ajiman Rollins, Doctor. Honorable Vincent Opong Asamoah and Honorable Bede Anwatazuma Zeden. That is a 7-member committee. You are to present your report with recommendations within 10 days from today. 2, in pursuant of Section 10 of the Parliamentary Service Act 1993, Act 460, I direct the Clerk to Parliament to cause to be undertaken a full assessment of all damage caused within the committee room and parliamentary presence as a result of the misconduct of the members. Not a single peso of public funds shall be used to repair or replace any damaged property. Instead, members found responsible shall be surcharged for the full cost of repairs and replacements, with deductions from their emoluments, including the salaries of members, if necessary. 3, in pursuance of the provisions of the Constitution 1992 and the standing orders of Parliament, I further direct the Clerk to Parliament to formally lodge a complaint with the Ghana Police Service to conduct a full criminal investigation into the matter for appropriate action. 4, I call for an immediate meeting of the Committee of Selection today, to reconstitute the Appointments Committee as a matter of urgency and to
Well, so that's the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin. But let me go to Mr. John Darko. He's Member of Parliament for Suame, for his thoughts. Sir, thank you for joining the conversation. When you look at the steps that the Speaker of Parliament has taken to deal with that altercation we saw last Friday, would you say it's an overkill? Even before we get to the legality side of it, which is what your side is arguing for, was it an overkill? And a seven-member special committee to investigate, file a complaint with the police service, and those who will be found culpable will be surcharged for the cost of repairs and all that. Is it an overkill?
Well, I mean, I think that we can separate them.
Sir, please speak up for us. Your voice is...
All right. I'm saying that his own suggestions, we can separate them and make a decision. So, for instance, I don't see anything wrong with him setting up a special member committee to investigate it. I think that is what ought to be done, especially if you look at circumstances surrounding the whole issue. It's okay to set up a committee to look into it. And I think that if the committee finishes and they believe that some public properties have been destroyed and they want to surcharge the members who caused it, I think that it's okay. I mean, we don't want public properties to be destroyed. And so there will be no justification for, destroying public property. So in that sense, I would be supportive. But really, and today, I believe that if you set up a committee, you should just give the committee terms of reference and then let the committee come out with their own recommendation, Maybe the committee, when they will see better than the speaker. And so, for me, if you had allowed the committee to sit and come up with their recommendations, which may include some of what he said, that would be okay. Otherwise, what seems to happen is that you are putting the horse before the cart. But if you are asking whether it's an overkill or not, in these two cases, you're setting up the committee and asking those who may be found culpable to pay the cost of destruction of public property, in my view, may not be an overkill.
So what I'm hearing is you have no problem with the seven-member special committee, the plan to surcharge those who be found culpable for the cost of repairs and all that. So your side held a press conference, and just to quote some of the things that were said, that the Speaker's decision, that is the suspension of those 4 members of Parliament, is an unfortunate overreach of parliamentary authority and an example of, quote, selective justice. What's your argument there in terms of the legality or the approach that the Speaker of Parliament used to suspend those 4 members of Parliament? What's the argument?
Well, I mean, we reject it. The argument is simple. I think that I listened to the previous speaker a little bit, and he made the point that we operate within the confines of our law, the Constitution, which is the supreme law. And in this case, the Parliamentary Act, the Standing Orders, and all the other provisions. There are nowhere in these laws where the Speaker of Parliament is given the power to suspend members of Parliament for whatever a particular member of Parliament may do. No matter what, the Speaker has no right, has no power within the law, within the confines of the law, to sanction members of Parliament. And I think that the argument has been made around. I mean, that, look, it is the Privileges Committee that will have to set the procedural requirements. The Privileges Committee will have to set and then make a decision, make a recommendation for the Speaker to, as it were, read out the recommendation of the Privileges Committee. Look, he made a point that because the Privileges Committee hasn't been set up yet, he's more or less constituting himself into a Privileges Committee. Look, if the law wanted that to be done, the law would have stated so clearly there are no residuary powers within the Constitution, nor the Act of the Parliament Act, nor the Standing Order that gives the Speaker the power to do that. The law would have said so that where at any point, the committee...
Mr. Daku, your voice keeps fading away. Let's try this
hello?
again. Yeah.
Is it better?
Yes. Maybe we can keep that tempo. Yeah.
So I'm saying that there are no residuary powers in the law that gives the Speaker the right to set up, to constitute himself into a committee, a privileged committee to exact punishment. Now, if the law wanted that, the law would have stated so clearly. And this is a situation where you are punishing people. And you know that at the heart of our jurisprudence, our criminal and constitutional jurisprudence in this country, is the Odi Otram Partem rule, that a man must not be condemned or heard. And so what happened to that sacrosanct principle of our constitutional law? These people were not given the opportunity to be heard. And that is why the Privileged Committee is set up, so that they will appear, put their case before
Mr.
the Privileged Committee.
Just a quick reflection. Do you condemn the actions of these members of parliament? Do you condemn their actions?
I think what happened was unfortunate.
Do you condemn their actions? That's the question to you, sir.
Yes, I'm saying that it's unfortunate that happened. It wasn't right. I don't expect our parliament to degenerate into that kind of act. It's not right. But, there's always a but, we need to look into how it happened. Because
Mr. Daku, I think the how it happened, we all saw on television. I just want to find out from you, and there are precedents from Carlos Ahinkra running away with ballots, from people chasing him and seemingly beating him, to what we witnessed at the dawn of the 8th Parliament and all of that. There's a plethora of issues, to the point where, in some instances, people have had to hold the other people. And we've seen it devolve to this point. I'm asking you, as a member of parliament, straight answer. Do you condemn the actions? There was a minority member in there. There was a majority member in there, in the person of the South Dai legislator. There are minority members in there. All of these people put together. I'm asking you a pointed question. Do you condemn their actions?
I said it was unfortunate.
No, you're not answering my question. Do you condemn them or not?
Look, my brother, I think maybe the kind of answer you were expecting from me is yes or no.
I just want a yes or no answer. That's all I want.
No, but we can't always answer our question with yes or no. Yes or no. I think that it wasn't good. It wasn't right. It shouldn't have happened. And, I mean, maybe to help you, it's condemnable. It shouldn't have happened.
Okay. It's condemnable. It shouldn't have happened. Does that mean you subscribe to some sort of punitive measures, maybe to bring sanity to Parliament, for people to realize that, yes, you can do all of these things, but if you do them, there will be consequences?
Oh, yes. I think from the earlier submission, I made it clear that if the Speaker sets up a committee, and for instance, they are asked to pay for the cost of the distraction, I will not have any problem. What I really, maybe the overkill part, what I should have said, is that inviting the police to come in, when you have set up a committee to look into it, for me, will be where the overkill will be. The members of Parliament, the Privileges Committee, can set up its own investigative body to look into what happened and make a recommendation. I don't believe that for what happened, members of Parliament should be investigated and be prosecuted by the police. That is where probably overkill will come. But if they are asked to, let's say, pay for the destruction of the chairs and the microphones, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Look, nobody wants this kind of things to happen. It's an august house. It's a sacrosanct house. In fact, I always say, and the Speaker himself keeps saying, it is what holds our democracy together. Because when there is a coup, the executive will be retained, the judiciary will be retained. The only place or the only institution which is dissolved immediately is the Parliament and its institution. So it is a very august house that should not be reduced to this level.
Let me Let me ask you a linked question. That will be my final bit on this. You've condemned the actions. You say they are condemnable and something ought to be done about them. There is the issue where the Privileges Committee has not been set up yet. That leaves some sort of lacuna. You made mention of it. What then is the alternative? And if there is this lacuna, how do we go about dispensing punitive measures to members of parliament when they fall foul within this kind of space before a Privileges Committee is set up? What do you suggest?
Is the work of the Committee on Selection. And if you remember, the Speaker on the day said that the Committee of Selection must meet immediately to reconstitute the appointment committee. Putting up this committee, that is the committee we're talking about, it's not a big deal. I'm sure in the course of this week, the committees will come up, actually. The committees will come up. And so let's say if anything happens again, in a situation where we don't have the privileged committee set up, look, it can be put together immediately, okay? Because we are always going to have privileged committee, except that within the first month of any parliament, the committees wouldn't have been constituted. So within that first month, if anything happens, the Speaker and the Committee on Selection can immediately put up the Privileges Committee to look into the matter. So I don't think that any individual in the person of a Speaker or any outside body should be put together to come and investigate matters of the senator. The orders, the standing orders of Parliament gives this Committee on Selection the power to set up committees, and they can set it up immediately. And I believe that the Privileges Committee will be set up this week as well, because all the other committees, I understand, are ready, and we will present them before the end of this week.
Mr. Dako, hold for me. Let me put these things you're saying to Mr. Fuseni. So, Mr. Fuseni, first, Mr. Dako says that the Speaker has no legal backing to suspend those 4 members of Parliament. And he has, in a way, done the work that committee, that 7-member special committee is set up to do. He's done that work, going ahead to punish them, that is, suspending them. How do you respond to these?
I think that we need to unpack it. So by the new standing orders, I think section 30, 31 thereabouts, 27, 30, 31 thereabouts, the Speaker has power to suspend a member of Parliament for disorderly conduct on the floor of the House. But the power to suspend is limited to only 4 days. So Mr. Dako can read that area. The Speaker has power to suspend a member of Parliament for disorderly conduct, but it can only happen for 4 days.
And so obviously, outside of the 2 weeks.
Yes, so that's obviously. So that's why I said that the fact that the regulations are inadequate is lamentably clear. So they are inadequate. Now, so when that disorderly conduct is repeated, the Speaker can suspend that member for 8 days. When it is again repeated, 12 days. So it's there in the regulations. So the Speaker has power to suspend. But has the Speaker power to suspend a member of Parliament in a committee who has misbehaved? We don't see any order that deals with that. There's no such order. Can the chairman of a committee of Parliament suspend another member of the same committee? We don't see that. Now, and so if you say the Speaker has power to suspend a member, yes, for disorderly conduct, and it is in the standing orders, the new standing orders. But whether the Speaker's powers extend to a committee and then for 2 weeks, that is doubtful. I don't believe that the rules provide for that. And throughout my practice in Parliament, and as a lawyer, anytime you have difficulty in justifying a decision of an authority or person, then that decision will have problems. And that is what we are seeing with the Speaker's decision to suspend for 14 days. One, the condemnable act, using the words of Darko, Honorable Darko, did not happen before the Speaker. He would have seen it on TV or heard it, but it did not happen. And no report has been submitted to him by the chairman of the committee. Two, has the Speaker the power to extend his tentacles to a committee's meeting and deal with matters arising out of a committee? The rules are silent. You don't see it in the rules. Three, can the chairman appropriately deal, and particularly in this case, I know the chairman can ask a person to leave a meeting, but whether the chairman can suspend another member of the committee for a period ranging from 4 to 14 days, that again is lamentably absent from the standing orders of Parliament. Neither can we find it in the Constitution or the Parliamentary Act.
Mr. Hussaini, you keep using the word lamentably. It's not too long ago that the standing orders had to be revised. High time for another revision, especially in respect of some of these matters. And again, the lacuna I referenced, like Honorable Darko mentioned, within the first month of any administration, you wouldn't have had Parliament constituting these committees, including the Privileges Committee, which means that things that happen in the interim cannot properly be dealt with based on the standing orders. Is it high time we looked at the standing orders again?
That lacuna is not fatal because Parliament meets on the 7th January of the beginning of their term. It is not by accident, or it is for good reason, that we hold elections 1 month to the beginning of the term of Parliament. And it's for good reason that parties leave the leadership of their caucus for the first few weeks of the beginning of Parliament. So it stands to reason that if parties want to constitute these committees to come into force immediately the tenure of office of a parliament begins, parties can do so. There is no reason whatsoever to say that because the first month the committees are not formed, the Speaker, there is an emergency, as the Speaker says, and so the Speaker is forced to act one way or the other, which is not supported by law. I think that to deal with the lacuna, parties must be proactive. The first week or so of the beginning of the term of a parliament, the committees must be in place. And that deals with the lacuna. In fact, there are dire sanctions. I repeat, there are dire sanctions for members of parliament who misbehave in such an appalling manner in the standing orders of Parliament. In fact, the gravest is an expulsion from Parliament. And I don't think members averted their minds to that. You need two-thirds majority of members of Parliament to expel another member of Parliament for stated misbehavior. And in this Parliament, it can happen. So I think that members of Parliament must begin to sit up and conduct their activities and their affairs in a responsible manner. Or else, when the standing orders comes into being, such conduct, such condemnable conduct, or conduct that can be deprecated, might have dire consequences.
I just have to follow up because of what you said. So this expulsion, what would it mean? The member of parliament loses his seat?
It's totally.
Right.
With the two-thirds, if the privileges committee recommends that those members of parliament must lose their seats, you need two-thirds majority. It's in the standing orders. It's in the constitution.
Right. And the majority in parliament now practically has two-thirds. And if
they never averted their minds to that, that's why they were misbehaving.
Right, but let's look at it this way. If that person is expelled, I mean, the Constitution states that anyone contesting to be a member of parliament must meet certain requirements. If that person is expelled, that person is not a criminal. It doesn't criminalize the person, so to speak. Does that also not mean that that person could still go and contest for the constituency seat and maybe get it again and come back to parliament?
It becomes a political question, in my view, without going back to the standing orders. It becomes a political question whether the constituents will want to return to parliament a lawless person, a person who has abused their mandate.
So, Mr. Hussaini, from what I'm gathering, from what you are saying, the Speaker's actions exceeds or extends beyond the boundaries that's the new standing orders or the authority of the Speaker by suspending these 4 members of parliament for 2 weeks, because you said first it has to start from 4 days, and then it goes, if the action is repeated, then 8 days and so on. How do we reconcile then what the Speaker has done and what the new standing orders say? Should we recall those who have been suspended? What do you suggest? How do you suggest we move this forward?
So that is why I think that the suggestion, because again, we must not be taking actions that will lower the parliament in the estimation of right-thinking people. And like generally said, 2 wrongs do not make a right. So I think that the leadership of parliament, majority and minority leader, must engage parliament, the Speaker of Parliament, and draw his attention to the obvious overstepping of his authority.
Does that mean the Speaker probably didn't know this? I'm just curious to see how the leadership has to now bring this to the attention of the Speaker.
I think that it would be fair to say that the Speaker overlooked the provision because of the gravity of the situation.
What then is the remedy in such an instance?
The remedy clearly is, like I said, for the Speaker and the leadership of Parliament to meet to see how they can salvage the situation, in my view.
Mr. Dako, so you have already made that press statement and said you were rejecting the suspension of the members. But now we know that the Speaker indeed acted outside the boundaries of the law to some extent. How do you suggest we move forward on the back of your rejection of the suspension anyway?
Well, I mean, but before I go there, let me just correct something my senior brother mentioned. If you look at the Order 35 of the standing orders, and maybe for the benefit of our listeners and viewers, let me read. It says that where in the opinion of the person presiding over the House or a committee, the conduct of a member is grossly disorderly, the person presiding may order the member to withdraw from the presence of Parliament, and that member shall immediately leave the presence and shall not enter the presence again during the remainder of the day's sitting. So first, if you look at it, if you are heading a committee, in this case, let's say the appointment committee chairman, so he's the person presiding, or if you are presiding over the House, which may be the Speaker at any point in time, and during that period, the member's conduct is so bad, it's so gross, then the person presiding may ask you to leave the presence of Parliament for the remainder of the day sitting. I think that there have been some changes. Maybe my brother hasn't abated his mind to. The Speaker no longer has the power to suspend somebody 4 days and then say 8 days. The Speaker's power, if you can look at it, any suspension power he may want to allude to under Order 35 is to ask a member to leave the presence of Parliament for the remainder of the day's sitting. That is what Order 35 says. Okay. Otherwise, any other punishment for contempt must come from the Privileges Committee's recommendation. It is a Privileges Committee that can recommend punishment for a member. Now, so coming into your question, yes, I believe that...
Mr. Darko, before you get to the question, does that mean these are changes from the old standing orders to the new one?
So this is the new standing orders I'm reading to you.
Okay, all right. Go ahead then.
Yes, so I believe that the Speaker by today may understand that he acted in excess of his powers. And look, even judges, when they act in excess of their powers, their decisions will be subject to being quashed before a superior court. And so the Speaker's decision, I'm sure upon reflection, he will see that he acted in excess of his powers. Now, that being the case, look, we are there to serve the interests of the people. I don't think that the Speaker will want us to take this matter to the Supreme Court. And as my senior said, today I believe the leadership will meet. The Speaker will see the law clearly. He's a good lawyer. He has lawyers in his office. They will come to the conclusion that he acted in excess of his powers. And I believe that the Speaker and the leadership will come out to do the right thing on Tuesday when we meet. Look, we are human beings. You ask the question whether the Speaker didn't know about the fact that he was going in excess of his powers. Look, I think in the heat of the moment, the Speaker needed to act and maybe made a mistake. Like I said, judges make mistakes from High Court to Court of Appeal. Even Supreme Court judges, they review their decision when they make a decision and you apply for review. So he can look at his own decision and review it and say that, look, you know what, I believe that the suspension was in excess of my power and that these people should be restored, but the investigation should continue. After the investigation report, whatever recommendation may be given to him for him to read out to members.
Thank you. Let me put something to Mr. Fuseni. So the Director of Advocacy and Policy Engagement at CDD, that's the Center for Democratic Development, also said that although the Speaker erred procedurally, he sees a challenge. Quote, the only challenge is that maybe some of the leaders of the Privileges Committee who have been suspended are probably going to be the ones that are going to sit on their own case. Is it a possibility that some of these 4 members of Parliament who've been suspended could be part of the Privileges Committee and sit their own case?
So I don't want to assume or speculate because we don't know the membership of the Privileges Committee. So one will begin by speculating or assuming that these members will be part of the Privileges Committee who have no basis whatsoever for such assumptions.
Right.
So that's why I don't want to comment on that.
Okay.
Let's get the membership of the Privileges Committee and see how they put the situation.
All right.
Number 2, I want my brother Darko to refer himself to the provision of the new standard orders dealing with disorderly conduct. And you will see that the Speaker has power to suspend a member for 4 days, 8 days, and 12 days. The new standard
But
orders.
is that different from what he cited? He cited order 35. So which
35.
one are you?
35.
Yeah, which one are you?
35 is even imported from the old provisions. So when you are in Parliament and you are repeatedly engaging in disorderly conduct, the Speaker can ask the Marshal to remove you to ask you to leave Parliament. And if you fail to leave Parliament, the Speaker will order the Marshal to remove you from Parliament and remove you from the presence of Parliament for that certain day.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
I do not know whether you have any counter reactions, Mr. Darko, but another matter that took us, I wouldn't say by storm, but piqued our interest was the interaction with Afenyo Markin, the minority leader, and a clerk of Parliament, and it's been roundly condemned, but others have also said that, well, the clerk has acted in certain ways. I'll start with you again, Inusa, before I go to Mr. Dako. What is your take on that matter, and should it have boiled to the point where it did?
Again, Afenyomakin allowed his emotions to overcome him. There are procedures, no procedures for Parliament to deal with such situations. And as a leader of the House, you should explore the possibility of amicably resolving an issue than letting your emotions take over. It doesn't show leadership. It doesn't show maturity. And you do that with impunity. If I was disappointed, if you think that the clerk of Parliament is behaving in a way that is manifestly biased towards your side, there are procedures to deal with that in Parliament. And the clerk of Parliament is the head of the parliamentary service. And the clerk to the committee is a member of the parliamentary service. And the parliamentary service has rules and regulations regarding how officers behave. So why will you boil over and talk to an adult and a staff as if she didn't matter?
Was the behavior of the minority leader honorable towards the clerk? And
No,
in any
this
instance,
was very dishonorable. Because I'm sure if the clerk were the minority leader's sister, you would have not taken kindly to that as well.
the clerk did not respond. But in any case, you say there are rules and regulations about how to deal with such issues. What do the standing orders say? How could Afenyomakin...
It's not a standing order. Standing orders deal with Parliament.
Right. So in terms of the parliamentary service, right.
She's a member of the parliamentary service.
Mm.
And I've known the clerk since I've known the clerk of the committee since I went to Parliament. But because she's a member of the service. You leave Parliament and she's there. If she's not 60 years, Afenyomakin will leave Parliament and she'll be there.
Mm.
So there's a different regime regulating their work in Parliament.
I get that point. I'm just asking how else could it have been dealt with from Afenyomakin's end in respect of the clerk if he felt she was being partisan?
I write a written complaint.
To whom?
Written complaint to the clerk of Parliament through the Speaker.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Dako, your quick reflections on that same point.
Okay, all right. So I think that on the previous issue on the disorderly conduct, I just want to make a snappy point because look, if you look at the standing orders, it talks about on 35. It says punishment for contempt of Parliament or breach of parliamentary privileges. Title: exclusion of disorderly member. And then 35 is what I read earlier on. So unless my senior has any other provision, I'm willing to look at that, but otherwise, it's the 35 that allows the Speaker or a committee chair to ask a member to leave the presence of Parliament for the remainder of the day sitting. And that should conclude that. On the issue at hand, look, it's always easy to stand back to condemn people. If you know what the leader of the minority goes through every time when these things are happening, you really appreciate him. He's done a yeoman's job under the circumstance. Look, what was the situation?
Does the yeoman's job include shouting at the clerk to the committee?
But you see, why don't you always want to look at the causes of these outbursts, if we may call it that way? Here is
so the cause justifies his actions. Is that what you're saying?
No, my brother. Let's not play the saint, right? let's look at what happened. Sometimes we are.
Well, I'm not with you in Parliament, so I'm not judging anybody. I'm just asking you questions.
Don't you all get angry? We all get angry. In fact, yesterday on one of your shows, I think it's called The Probe, this question was put to the minority leader, and he acknowledged that the clerk of parliament has come to him and has arranged a meeting to be held today to resolve the matter. So when he was actually asked to comment on this particular incident, he decided not to comment on it. But we should understand that we are human beings before we go to parliament. Who has been...
Hello, Mr. Darko. Hello, Mr. Darko.
Enjoying the vetting. Then this woman decides that in spite of all that, she will go ahead and swear in the nominee for the nominee to be vetted. And look, Afeno referred her to what she had done previously when the NPP was in the majority. That any time there was a meeting, the woman will insist that we have the minority there before the meeting goes. What happened to her principle? That is what he was referring to. What happened to your principle of fairness? That you always ensure that the other side will be there before a meeting commences. In this particular case, she threw her principle out of the door because it suited her purpose. And that is what Afeno sought to put to her. That at the time, it suited her purpose to let the vetting go on because the minority wasn't there and she was happy about it. For me, maybe it was the mood. That's what I'm saying. We are human beings. The leader probably got angry. But under the circumstance, I don't think that you could have done anything better. You were having a meeting. You've told this person, please let the chairman of the committee know that we're having a meeting. We'll be back shortly. And then you go ahead, knowing very well that the minority is not there. They should go ahead and vet the person. I mean, look, let's also put us in the shoes of the minority leader. He's under a lot of pressure to do what he's doing, and sometimes we should cut him some slack.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining the conversation on this beat. We had John Darko, Member of Parliament for Suame. We also had Inusa Fuseni, former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources.
Well, coming up next, Minister Designates for Communication, Digitalization and Innovation, Samuel Nate George, hints of another round of SIM card re-registration, which he says will be more technology efficient and robust than the former. Do we really need this? Let's take a listen and then we'll come back to discuss.
On the issues of mobile money fraud, we have to work collaboratively with the MNOs. And that's why we have to go back to the issue of SIM re-registration again, to properly register the SIMs so that the MNOs can identify who it is. Because it's one thing blocking the SIMs, it's another thing tracking the persons, the cartels behind it, and being able to arrest them and prosecute them. You need to be able to identify persons who hold SIMs.
Well, joining us for a conversation, we have Maximus Ametokbo. He's a technology consultant. Maximus, thank you for joining the conversation. My initial thoughts, and Sweetie will take over. What do you make of this proposal by Sam Nate George?
I was quite surprised to hear that, because we've been doing SIM registration, time and again, and it's of concern to the telecom service user. Even the industry players are quite concerned about that. Why we keep registering SIM cards time and again.
Maximus, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Right. You just raised the point, so I just want to follow up. But how do you react to the justification given by Sam Nate George in terms of traceability?
Yeah, so for me, it boils down to the fact that we have people who have been registered with with national ID cards, and we cannot locate them. I don't think is different from what is known. Somebody walks into your house, you have a CCTV camera that captures the person's face, and then you can't find where the person is located. So addressing system is one thing that we have to also look at. So for me, it's not just the fact that you can identify people by registering them time and again. Where do they live? and what is their mobility, structure. Let me say, okay, if I live in Tema and I registered my SIM, then I move to Dansoma, and then something happens. How do you trace me to Dansoma, to my new address or my new location? So it's more about implementation of the regulation than just re-registering me to my new location. So for me, I don't think we need a SIM re-registration to register every Ghanaian again who uses a telecom service so we can know their location if a crime is committed. If we can't do it with the current arrangement, I don't think we can do it with whatever technology the minister is proposing.
That's an interesting statement to make, because I listened to Sam George and he mentioned that even the mobile network operators can't trace the owners of these SIM cards. And you yourself just reiterated the gaps, the inability to identify who exactly these SIM cards belong to. But you say that if we cannot make it work with the current registration system we have, then you don't see any way that a new technology can fix that. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so it's our enforcement. So we've registered people using the Ghana card, right? So Ghana card should be able to identify people by their addresses because they have a list of details on the person's registration forms or profile. So we should be able to find those people using those addresses or where they live or where they work or where they used their card the last time. So tracing people using those methods will be better, but trying to re-register the people. But the law requires us to register identifiable individuals. So how do you use identifiable, parameters? So we use a Ghana card because Ghana card identifies Ghanaians and non-Ghanaians, right? So when you register that, now the addressing system, are they using the right addressing system? If they are not using the right addressing system, new re-registration is not going to work. It's not going to find the people for you. The telcos are also not supposed to. The telcos are not supposed to even find where I stay. It's not. They are not mandated to do that. It's law enforcement who are supposed to find where I stay if I commit a crime or whatever. The telcos are supposed to keep my identity, anonymous. So I don't think that is their right to identify or to know where I stay, but they are supposed to identify me as a Ghanaian using whatever ID that the law requires them to give me a SIM card to use on their service.
I think this is also part of our efforts to fight crime. These cartels that Sam George talked about, these mobile money fraudsters, more often than not, some of us fall victim to their enterprise, So how do you suggest that we solve that problem if we don't have to re-register SIM cards and be sure that everyone is given their appropriate address and we can trace them if need be? How then should we or could we fix that problem in your expertise? What do you think?
Yeah, so we'll have to look at how do we clean up the old registration if he thinks there are some errors there in terms of identifying the users of the SIM cards. We need to do that in the first place so that any other person we cannot identify using that method, then we can do the cleanup. For example, an identification system is supposed to enable me if I registered a SIM card using an address, because the Ghana card is used for other purposes. Maybe I use it at the bank to verify my identity to withdraw money. The system is supposed to be able to track that, okay, maximum spent to this bank, use it. So how often does it go to that particular bank to use the card? Then you are trying to profile me than just using my details. So for me, that is what is very important.
Aside your opinion that we don't really need this again, are there some sort of challenges that you think will mar the process that, really we shouldn't bother ourselves doing it all over again? What are the challenges? Is it a logistical issue? Because he says we wouldn't have to queue anyway. It will be something more technology efficient. So what could be terribly wrong with his proposal, re-registering SIM cards?
That's what surprised me, because you tell us the technology is going to use to do that. Because I can also say, okay, I'll use AI to clean up the platform without telling you exactly how I'm going to go about it, right? So let's not overflow the issue, because you are giving people the opportunity to fill in their addressing system. You can't verify where I stay, but I've done something in terms of filling the Ghana card form, and a primary address has been given on that particular form. So if I'm going to do registration, you should check if I enter the same address in the Ghana card. At least gives you an idea that this is where I stay, based on the information I've given to Ghana card. So I'm not supposed to give a false information by law to the Ghana card people. So if I've given that and you come there, you don't find me, it means I'm using the address to either commit crime or give a false information.
Ben, I'm hearing that we don't really need to go through this all over again.
I mean, I can also understand the discomfort some Ghanaians or a lot of Ghanaians would have to go through it. They had to go through this experience all over again. But my issue then is getting down to the meat of the matter. There's still a lot of fraud going on, including SIM-box fraud. Would a re-registration exercise help cure this in any way? It's not just about X is living in Kotobabi and has moved to, let's say, Abelimpe. There's more to it than that. How are we going to be able to pinpoint who has done what at what time? And then again, what's the cost value for money if we decide to go down this road? How much would we be looking at, Maximus?
Yes, for the cost, I'm not sure I can give an idea, because we should estimate that almost the same amount that was spent for the first or second one, registration that we've done as a country. And like I said, we need to be able to identify people by the address system that we already have. And fraudsters don't need to, let me say that fraudsters use different methods to defraud people using technology. Now there's this issue of WhatsApp, takeovers. So I take over your WhatsApp, then I use an AI to learn how you communicate with a friend of yours, and then I start writing the same language, and the friend thinks that, oh, okay, Ben needs some 1,000 CDs, immediately I'll send it to you by tomorrow. Then I send you a phone number to send the money to. Then the money is terminated on that number. That number actually runs within an app. The app grabs the money, distributes it to other numbers. Even the telcos can't trace it. So, and the app, when you dial the phone number, you realize it links to an individual with a name. As to whether the name is genuine or not, that is another thing that we need to investigate. So a lot of ways the cyber criminals use is not just trying to re-register people with, a new system or technology to be able to find the criminals. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be challenging. If you ask the telcos, they will tell you they can't even find the person behind the number. That's happened to a couple of friends, and I've tried helping them in that regard.
Maximus, is there anywhere in the world where they've been able to, solve this problem of fraud and SIM card issues with technology? And if there is, are you aware what particular kind of technology some judge is proposing we use? You seem to be outrightly rejecting the whole proposal. I'm just curious to know if you just don't think it's what we need, or if you're sure that whatever they are proposing will not work.
That's what I'm saying, that it's about the design. You should tell us how they are going to solve that problem. And how are you going to make sure that the person registering the SIM card is an identifiable or verifiable person, as the law stipulates. So you need to have that. So we have the Ghana card that is already there. We've registered over 18 million Ghanaians. At least you have an idea of who owns what card. And then if you are going to register a SIM card, then you can use the same ID system, which should be linked. And that's why some of us didn't understand why we're doing SIM re-registration. When I use the phone number to register my Ghana card, then I'm using the Ghana card to re-register the same phone numbers. It doesn't make sense. So it didn't make sense to me, and I don't think it's going to be easy trying to fight cyber criminal using that approach. Because the issue with the SIM boxing, as Ben said, is about price arbitrage, the difference between international call and local calls. People sit in between there, they make money off the arbitrage that we have. So for me, it's about identifying people in the first place. And then before I buy a SIM card, I'm well registered, right? Well registered as in making sure I use all the ID cards, and then my addressing system is also very important. That's one thing we don't check. Nobody checks if the address that I gave on my card or my form is right or wrong. Nobody verifies that. I don't know how we are going to go about that.
So is that not another way we can fix that?
I don't know how we are going to fix that, unless you are going to monitor everybody's movement using a navigation application or whatever, which is also against the law.
Right.
You can't be tracking, that's surveillance. So you can't be tracking people or surveilling them because you want to catch criminals.
Or maybe, Maximus, unless we stipulate that if you go through such registration and you move house, consider it this way. If you take a loan from the bank and you change your job, your place of work, or you move house, you are required to give such details to the bank so that they can follow up on you. Is it not that simple? And again, if you seem to suggest that you don't see a clear plan as of now, which is why you are not in support of the re-registration. If you were to see a clear plan, would your stance shift? So 2 questions.
If I see a clear plan, of course, I may change my mind, but I don't think that re-registering over 18 million people again is the solution.
All right.
Because you already have the database of the people. I can dial *402 to check the phone numbers linked to my Ghana card and all that. Those are processes you use to clean up, a platform like that. And like you said, if I save in a particular bank and I move my location or my house, I should be able to give the bank the new address so they can populate the platform with the new address, which reflects automatically at the National Identification Authority if they have that connection with the banking system.
Okay.
Well, Maximus Amatogo, thank you so much for joining us. He's a technology consultant, and this is a conversation about re-registration of SIM cards. And thank you. We are all waiting for that clear plan, and then we can make a decision. But before we go, a gentle reminder that Medicus Hospital is a modern healthcare facility built with your recovery in mind, spacious wards built with your family in mind, a warm and caring pediatric unit built with your children in mind. And we've assembled some of the brightest minds in medicine, led by Dr. Yao Safo, the drive-time doctor, to serve you. And we offer medical services, general as well as specialist services in plastic surgery, obstetrics and gynecology, child health, urology, psychiatry, and eye care. Additionally, we offer a comprehensive medical diagnostic service encompassing endoscopy, medical laboratory services, x-rays, and scans. A 24-hour pharmacy will ensure you always receive efficacious, safe, and affordable medicine. And we bring to you the most powerful human medicine of all time, simple human kindness and empathy. And we take pride in holding ourselves to the highest attainable standards. Plus, we accept all forms of payment, including from private health insurance companies. You can locate Medicus Hospital at number 10 Kingston Street, near Ashalibuche School Junction, or simply call 0501-477-340, or reach us on all social media platforms at Medicus GH. Medicus Hospital, a place of healing. Ben?
Well, let me tell you a bit about solar energy, and I'm talking about SolarMate Ghana. If you want to select a solar system from our various solar packages, they range from 30,000 cedis to 99,000 cedis. And note, all our solar systems come with lithium-ion batteries. So you can get a solar water heater, a solar home system, a solar-powered station, or a solar generator ranging from 1,000 watts to 20,000 watts. We also sell reverse osmosis machines for water treatment. All you have to do now, Google SolarMate Ghana to find us on both Facebook and Instagram. To give us a call, here's the number, 0508 320 4 70. Solarmate Ghana is located at Adregano, East Legon. Solarmate, we go everywhere. Shortly, we'll be taking you to our next conversation in terms of school brutality. This wouldn't be the first time. What is happening in our second tier or second cycle institutions? We'll be sharing more thoughts on that after the break.
So we thought instead of the short excerpts on social media, we give you a more comprehensive look at what really happened. And that was the video that we brought to you, Kweku Asante, our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, leading that charge there. We're opening the phone lines for you to get interactive with us, but just an update on what we just showed you. The special committee investigating that appointments committee chaos will have its maiden meeting today. In fact, the chairman of the committee will address the parliamentary press corps at 12 p.m. today. And the venue is yet to be determined, but we will keep you updated on that. And right before Ben comes in, happy birthday going out to Mr. Joel Nete, CEO of Ninani Group Limited. From management and staff of the Multimedia Group, they say happy birthday. And Max Vuga is the one leading that charge. Happy birthday, sir. So call us and let's get interactive. But there's something important we really want to discuss, Ben.
So we're sharing with you that video, a student in a dangerous viral machete bullying video at the Accra Academy School. And this has raised more concern about discipline, or better still, indiscipline in our senior high schools. Look at that. This is a machete, and from the school statement, this machete was not taken from the school, it was brought from outside the school. Now, 1 second of mishandling this machete could have led to someone's leg getting cut or thigh. And all of this happened at one of our secondary schools, Accra Academy to be specific. But let's not make it as though it were an Accra Academy problem. You remember that video some time back of an Adisco student strangling, literally, putting another student in a chokehold. And it wouldn't be restricted to that school either. Some of these bullying incidents are happening in our senior high schools. The question is, what is the way forward? We'd love you to call us and share your thoughts. 0302-211-691. We have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
When you call, quickly.
Good morning to your viewer and listeners.
Right, your name, where you're calling from.
This is Alaji LP. I'm calling from Sanda in the northern region.
Your thoughts?
Yes, to talk about the indiscipline in our schools. You see, our students and teachers are not well behaved. That is bringing this indiscipline. You see, teachers relate to students as if they are their girlfriends, boyfriends. When you go to the schools and see that, it's very, very painful. So if teachers can behave well, and let's go back to the old system, whereby power is given to teachers to discipline students. PTA, we should go back to the old format PTA, and they have a say in the school governance. And I don't know whether I can talk about the misbehavior of our MPs at the vetting committee.
No, go ahead.
I don't blame them. I blame we, the voters. Before you vote somebody, you have to vet the fellow yourself. Is he somebody who is tolerant? Is he somebody who is honorable? We always use honorable. Are they honorable? When you go to the dictionary and look the meaning of honorable, they don't deserve to be called honorable. And I'm backing the speaker suspension. He should have even come with more measures that will even serve as a deterrent to others who want to emulate for that shameless behavior. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for calling. You know, when Where do I start from? Benjamin, there's something my mom used to say. Abunsama la chiafi donao. I don't know if I can do a quick translation. The devil doesn't bathe before he comes out. So as you are doing that thing, you're holding a machete and swinging it at somebody. You think the devil will wait and say, let me go and take a quick shower before I come up and come and turn this thing over and become something else? Abunsama la chiafi donao. Remember that. That is, look at this. It gives me the... Anyway, maybe I'm getting a tad bit more emotional about it.
He does it well. It appears, I mean, you could tell from how well he executes that maybe
he's experienced.
It's not his first time doing this.
What's happening in our secondary schools? We do have another caller on the line. Good morning. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and share your thoughts.
Abdul Fattah, calling from Wa in the Upper West region.
Hi, Abdul Fattah.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I would like to talk about what transpired in Parliament on Thursday and then on Friday in the morning.
Go ahead.
Look at what happened on Thursday. Going through the narrations that you gave earlier, you would realize that prior to the meeting on Thursday, there were earlier agreements between the minority and minority as to how many people to be fed. So if at a point there was no consensus, I think the right thing for the chairman, he should have suspended or he should have called off the vetting so that we wouldn't have been able to get to the stage. Knowing the number of the minority, do you really think that it would be politically wise to just step away and walk away? They would definitely have to protect their stand. And if you also go to look at what happened on Friday, that was yet another sad incident. For the minority leader to come in and start talking to the clerk in that manner, I don't think it was right. But again, you also have to the clerk actually did what they were accusing her of. If it is true, that is quite unfortunate. Because as a civil servant, she's not supposed to behave like that. And you also have to be very cautious in discussing this issue. Everything started during the campaign. The kind of utterances people make, these positions. If you look at the version of George and Okututu, these are people who have gone after people's character, gone after people's property, and you are saying that the questions you ask them are irrelevant? I'm shocked. We have to know who speaks ethics must come with clean hands. Let us see their assets. Let us know. I'm quite surprised. Somebody says his wife is paying his rent and he's paying in dollars, renting in Airport Hills. That is funny. These are very disgusting comments to make. And people don't find it as anything. Everybody thinks, oh, let's let them go. No, I don't believe in that. They should be subjected to what they have subjected people to in the public. That is the way to go. These
Abdul
people are
Fattah.
coming to take public office.
Well, thank you so much for calling to share your thoughts.
You can still call that number 0302-211-691. What are your thoughts? And let's also focus on, I know what happened in Parliament is very interesting for all of us, but at the same time, this subject, what that video we just showed you, what is happening in our senior high schools is a great cause for worry. I am sure if, God forbid, someone had been cut or someone had passed, then, there would be furore and everybody would be talking about that. But let's not wait till that thing happens. At least I do know that this gentleman has been referred to the police, accosted by the police, and investigations will follow. But how do we stem the tide of same? We have a call on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your name, where are you calling from?
My name is Isaac. I'm calling from Pandai.
Isaac from Pandai. What are your thoughts?
Okay. My thoughts, I want to link the Parliament, what happened in Parliament today, what is happening in SHS. You realize that, see the way parliamentarians that we voted for are behaving in Parliament. It is a motivation to the youth to be behaving violently. If our leaders cannot conduct themselves, what will prevent a student from raising buckets or his college students? So our leaders are not serving as good role models for the youth. That is
the problem of Ghana. The leaders are our problem. And because of that, imagine that your son is, you are behaving like this in Parliament. You go home and your son is off to raise budget on a student. What advice do you give that person? So I think Ghana's problem is the leaders down the line. So we might have to look at it from the up top there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. That's an interesting line you draw between the two in terms of indiscipline. But we still have activated our phone lines. You can call through and share your thoughts with us, whatever they are. Call that number rolling at the bottom of your screen, 0302 211 691. And hopefully, Sweetie, as Parliament continues with the other appointees, maybe would see better from that august house, because so far,
working well here, hopefully. Well, we have another call online. Good morning. Tell us your name and have your say.
Yes, I'm Dela. I'm calling from Accra.
Hi, Muftau.
Yes, I'm commenting on the leadership of the Parliament. I'm very much happy about the way they are hiding behind the law and then actually saying what Speaker did was not right. He's a leader, and you can't sit down for the Parliament to be destroyed by hooligans. So you have to take action, though it might not be in the Constitution. They must actually regard the state of the issues that are happening over there. So I believe that what
Abdullah, are you moving? We seem to we're getting some interference, either wind or just your movement. Just stay put and let's hear you out.
Hello?
Yes,
hello?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead,
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. So I'm saying that the Speaker, as the head of the family, took a right decision, though it might not be in the Constitution. We shouldn't hide behind the Constitution. If that thing had continued, and we are saying Constitution, and chaos continued to break in the Parliament, what do you think will happen to the Speaker himself? It's an international man. So what he did was right. We should actually go beyond the Constitution and then safeguard our Constitution. Now, number two, the discipline in the various schools, honestly, the type of the heads and the teachers are tight. So unless we release the teachers to actually help in disciplining the students, chaos may not cease in the school. Because public is arresting teachers who actually, in a way, discipline students. Police are arresting them. The public are actually trying to come against teachers in diverse ways. So they are also quiet. So what is happening? The government should actually look at the disciplinary issues concerning students in the various institutions so that we can move forward and then become a role model to the whole world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Looks like most of our callers are drawing that line between leadership, what we are seeing in Parliament, leaders of this beautiful country, and what's happening in our senior high schools. There seems to be a relationship there, because if our leaders are throwing chairs and overturning tables over a simple matter of whether or not to continue vetting ministers, designates nominees, and we are seeing students using machete to threaten other students, looks like a breakdown in leadership, or the quality of leadership we're experiencing in this country. But
well, for sure, I mean, examples will be set, and those examples the youth will want to follow. But we have another call on the line. Is it McLean?
Yes, please.
Where are you calling from, McLean?
I'm calling from Mile 7.
Mile 7, right. What are your thoughts on this matter?
Okay, I want to start from the, how do you call it, the Parliament.
Go ahead.
Like living, I saw a video on social media. A man was saying he's going to stand for, and when he gets there, how do you call it, Parliament, he's going to bully people. Is it this kind of life? Is living an example like with the youth? How can someone? Is it the kind of life they are living there? It's telling people that the Parliament that they are in, they don't have any shy, or they don't have any respect for the youth. Is it they are influencing the youth in a way that people will say, "Oh, I'm going to Parliament to fight for my party, to fight for a party really. I'm going to contest for a member of parliament, and I'm going to bully people there. Which kind of life is this? It doesn't show any respect. What the speaker said, or the decision that the speaker took, was a nice decision. Yes, you should go beyond the constitution and deal with them. Anyone who was involved in chaos must pay for the, how do you call it, the tables and the things that is called there. They can't use our tax to do this stupid thing. Sorry to say. And concerning the HHS, they have to find the people, the students, and punish them. Because you, the leaders, you are living this kind of life, and you are expecting we, the youth, to follow you. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. They must be punished for that. If you are a member of parliament, that doesn't mean that you should behave there. After I saw that, I was very, very angry. Very, very, very angry. All those who were involved must be punished. All those who were involved must be punished. Not even all of them, not even those who were involved, but all those who were in that committee must pay for the table. They must pay for the things that they destroyed there. It doesn't show any respect.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for calling and sharing your thoughts. Ben, last year we buried a student, didn't we? There was some students who died because of something like this. I remember, you know, how parents could brag that they'll take their children to boarding school because that's where, you know, you get to be disciplined, and they didn't mind that seniors could discipline you, you know. But it's 2025, and I don't know where we draw the line between disciplining students, even among the students themselves, and between where the teachers come in and what our leaders are doing.
And these are day students, by the way, if you read some of the documentation, which makes for interesting conversation.
We do have another call online. Hi, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Well, my name is Ishmael. I'm calling from Bashir.
Ishmael, have your say.
All right, okay. I think that the actions of the speaker is in the right direction. We need discipline in the appointment committee. Those who don't believe that the actions were in the right direction, they should go to court. But until then, at least we'll have sanity in there. The second thing also is that I think the chairman should be a bit firm. Because if you look at what happened, before the chaos started, he was quiet and seated. At least the duty of a chairman is to bring some order in the house. At least if he had even mentioned order, I am sure some of them would have, noticed that they are misbehaving. Apart from that, with Afenoma, I think that he's setting himself on a path that will be very, very destructive to himself. Because, you see, after this committee, I mean, he will be, for want of a better word, useless in Parliament. And, apart from his right as a minority leader and what his constituency will benefit from him, he has to also lobby. Okay, now how are you going to lobby the NDC government? It's going to be very tough for him. I mean, everybody knows that he's very good friends with the finance minister. But I can tell you right now, the NDC food soldiers are beginning to be worried because they have started pushing and telling the party that they should make sure that he doesn't get anywhere near the finance minister. And if the finance minister does not obey the foot soldiers, they are going to give him a very, very, hectic time. You see, so he should be careful. Apart from that also, you see, in Parliament, you need to talk to each other because you're already a minority. Look, if he continues in this manner, his party is even going to come after him. So you see, what is going to happen is that even if he goes into conclave with the majority and they break a deal, the majority can come back and humiliate him. They can just say, oh, no, this is not what we agreed on, and that sort of thing. And then when he continues this way, his party is going to suffer. And they'll say, oh, look, this guy is doing his job, so let's take him out.
All right.
So you should be very careful because the majority can really, really, hurt him seriously. So you should be very careful.
All right. Thank you for sharing those thoughts with us. We're grateful. We'll look to take some more thoughts as we cap off the conversation. 0302-211691. What is on your mind? What would you like to share with us as we get ready to draw the curtains on today's show? You can still sneak in a call or two. I'm curious, though, why are the women not calling, especially on the back of the students' activities? Good morning. Hello?
Hello?
Okay. No woman this morning, I guess. What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Raf, calling from Takrady.
Your name is?
Hello?
What's your name again?
My name is Raphael, calling from Takrady.
Please go ahead with your thoughts.
Calling from Takrady. Raphael, calling from Takrady.
Go ahead.
Raphael.
Raphael, you're listening to us from your TV set. Turn it all the way down and just talk to us on the phone.
Okay, thank you very much. I've done that.
Great.
Please,
Go ahead.
I saw one of your slides depicting Freemason is rooted from Christianity. And I think it's just an unfortunate comment.
That's
not rooted in Islamic. So I think that if you've gotten your religion or any doctrine to follow, go ahead and follow. But don't hinge it on Christianity. Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much. I was just I've seen the document. This goes very far back, centuries old, unless you do not know. But since I'm Catholic, I might as well put it out there. Yesterday it was read by the different priests, a message from the Archbishop. It's steeped in centuries old doctrine. And should I call it doctrine? Well, teachings of the church. You can't be a Freemason and be a Catholic, and definitely not Christian. But Afenyo Markin said that, and that is what is being reported. So let's put it in the right context. Maybe we have time for one more call, sweetie, and then we can call it
an interesting thing that someone said about if Bernard Ahiafo had said order, maybe the parliamentarians would have brought themselves to order. Maybe one day we'll try it and see if it actually works. But
we should try it in the studio maybe when things get heated. Order.
Let's listen to our last caller. Hi, good morning. What's your name?
My name is Victor, calling from Accra.
Hi, Victor. Share your thoughts.
Yeah, I want to contribute on the students' behavior. It seems like we are not learning from is it a disco or one of them? We are not learning from it. I don't know what GES is doing to deter people from this. If there are citizens, that comes out very clearly for everybody to see. I think it kept it down. This is very disheartening. You said which and a machete being used flock back. As you said, if these people still have way, they let chop off. So if you go ahead with some period measures, that will be there, and note the students, if it's possible, bring it on. Who have the punishment to carry out that if anybody does this, they should be able to deal with the person. This just come down. It's very, very scary. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Interesting thoughts all of you have shared. Let me quickly also mention that today happens to be the birthday of the former majority leader. And I'm not talking about Alexander Afenyo Markin. I'm talking about Osei Mensah Bonsu. Today happens to be his birthday. Happy birthday to you, sir. Osei Mensah Bonsu. And all the best to you.
And that's our show for today, the very first week of February. I wish you a very blissful month and the rest of the week. Thank you for joining us. I'm Sweetie Abochi.
My name is Benjamin Akakwo. It's been a pleasure having your company. Stay tuned for Joy News Desk up next.